What's going on, guys? It's your boy Darian Gilliam, aka Black Flags Matter, back at it again with another NASCAR Weekly podcast. We got some big guest stars on today, and along with our regular panel. So let's do really quick intros, guys. Jarrett, start us off.
What's up, everybody? This is the Iceberg. Man, wasn't really the race we were expecting. I can definitely say that for sure. But there's definitely plenty to talk about still, so I don't want to really hold us up. I'll pass it on over to Eric.
You say we didn't expect it. I think most people expected Ford to be good, maybe just not as good as they were. But, yeah, we definitely got a lot to talk about tonight. Got some great guests on that we're excited to get to talk to. And, yeah, I'm thrilled. So I guess, we'll let our special guest here introduce himself.
Yeah, so we once again have the UrinatingTree on the NASCAR Weekly podcast. How's it going, man?
Not doing too bad, man. I'm probably going to pull a Brian France and get drunk and lecture people about don't you know who I am. I'll probably do that. We'll see.
That's a good segue into the into our first topic and stuff. So
never too good for Brian France jokes. Never.
The last time we had you on, oh wait, hold on. Sorry, I had my headphones connected wrong there. So the last time we had you on, it was like I believe July, and this was before the whole Brian France situation happened. So just give us your thoughts on that.
Well, I just find it laughable, to be fully honest with you. I mean, the one guy you always go off about like anti-drug and anti-alcohol, and then he goes off and gets a massive DUI. Like somewhere Shane Meal and Jeremy Mayfield are doing cartwheels in the background. But like the whole situation is just laughable because you can always go about, don't you know who I am? And like, I know Trump. Like I think he did like stuff like that, which is just, it's embarrassing.
I'm not sure if that part was true.
But that's what I've heard. I mean,
that was the story.
Yeah, but
I mean, it probably is like police footage that'll like go off on that, and it'll probably come out eventually. But it's gone. It's probably a lot like his tenure, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, just what a perfect way to end your tenure there and stuff. I mean, I talk with sports fans all the time.
The DUI should have been segmented.
Yeah, like I talk with sports fans all the time, like you know, football fans and NBA fans, and they're always complaining like, oh, Adam Silver and Roger Goodell, they're so bad. I'm like, yeah, let's talk about Brian France for a second here.
Well, I mean, Goodell is pretty bad, but.
Worse than Brian France, though?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I don't know. Close.
I don't know. I mean, there hasn't at least been verifiable proof that Goodell has been using oxycodone, so
yeah,
we just have that.
And what's even crazier about the situation is I don't know if you followed the whole ongoing court situation with him. He pleaded not guilty, which is it's just like this is perfect. This is just typical Brian France stuff here.
Well, you're going to call it not guilty. I mean, the only reason you plead guilty is get a lighter sentence.
Yeah, true. But I mean, there's just I don't know how he's going to get out of it there. There's just so much, I mean, indisputable evidence he was driving high and all that stuff. But I will say this, though. It seems like it was a blessing in disguise at the time because now that Jim France has taken over, like, I don't know. It's like I'll admit this. NASCAR fans, they do complain at times, unnecessarily at times, too. But I don't know. I feel like, you know, the mood is kind of like, you know, there's like hope again inside the sport, you know.
Thing is, like for these sort of changes, it's usually going to take a couple months. Like most of the stuff they're doing now was stuff they probably approved during Brian France. Like the same thing with ESPN with John Skipper. Like most of the stuff they're still doing now was approved when Skipper was like the exec.
Right.
Now that this new guy's coming in, now we're going to be seeing a little bit different. Like you're not going to be seeing like, I don't know, High Noon or Get Up or anything like that.
He's actually going to the races too. Brian France never went to the races.
There's a CEO that goes to the races? That's crazy.
Yeah, I know, it's crazy, right? Like
I never like he was always faceless. Like when I was a fan of NASCAR, like he's there, but he's not really there.
Yeah, I know, right? It baffles me. You're the CEO of a sports enterprise like NASCAR and stuff, and you don't even show up.
Yeah, barely show up. Like, did he show up to like maybe one race a year or something? Or
I think it was.
I saw him at a race. I saut him at a race once, up close and in person, and oh boy, that was a sight to behold.
Mm-hmm. Was he drunk and on pills?
I didn't get close enough. I couldn't smell him. There was a big group of people, but maybe you could have smelt it on him if I'd gotten close enough.
Well, I made the joke on the podcast the day after when we went on. I was like, or the day after Jim France had went to the race the following week, and I was like, it's a really bad bar to set, that the fact that we're celebrating our new CEO going to one race, and that's already better than the last tenure.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy.
That's how low the bar is for NASCAR fans. It's like, with other sports, it's like it's sort of expected they'll be at a lot of the games, or in this case, races with other series. With us, it's like, if you can just like show that you actually give a damn, you've already done better than the last guy.
I just remember like last year when he hired.
Just do a cardboard cutout of him, and you'll be fine.
I remember last year.
Like, I just have somebody like do like a little lever where he just like his hand when the camera's on, and I'll just disassemble him and just take him to Charlotte.
Just have a cardboard weekend at Bernie's for Brian France.
I just remember
France.
He hired a president to basically do his job for him, like as far as like the public and like the public kind of figure sort of part of the job, like interacting with fans. And then they fired that guy, or at least demoted him like a couple months ago. So,
God,
sounds a little crazy.
So now that go ahead, Jarrett.
I was just saying, and on top of that, it's like it's a total. It fit perfectly into how NASCAR's been the last 15 years. What was that?
Sorry, someone's doing dishes back there.
No problem. No problem. It fits with how we were on the podcast, but
I didn't think she'd be back, but like she's back. It's how it always goes. It's like, she's not gonna be back unless she's back.
But the Brian France thing, it kind of fits a little bit with how NASCAR's been the last 15 years, because the day before Chase Elliott got his first win, and it was literally on ESPN. It was on every news network. They were talking about it next morning. And then by the afternoon, the next day, we're talking about the CEO of a sport where you drive getting a DUI.
Classic.
But what are you going to segue into?
All right. I was just, lastly, I was about to say, man, you can't make this stuff up, man. You just can't.
Of course.
All right, but so now I wanted to get your thoughts on the new aero package. Now, Eric, you did a video on it. Could you like explain the whole package to Tree here?
Sure. I feel like most people in the chat could probably sum it up in a nutshell. Basically, NASCAR has decided for the Cup Series next year. They tested it sort of in some of the lower series this year, but they're going to go with a lower horsepower package, which means the cars at most of the intermediate tracks, like the 1.5 miles, the Charlottes, the Texas, the Atlanta type tracks, they're going to be running basically just slower, more or less horsepower on the engines. They're going to add a few different aero things. They're going to make it focus more on more downforce which is kind of the opposite of what they've been doing recently. The attempt is to make the racing closer, and based on all the tests, it's going to be more drafting based, kind of what we see at Daytona and Talladega with big packs. It's not going to quite be that, but it's going to be somewhere between that and what we typically see on an average race, where cars can sometimes get very strung out, just, several seconds apart, one guy dominating. That's probably not going to happen. We're going to get some sort of pack racing in a sense at about almost half the schedule next year, because it's not just going to be stuck at a Talladega and Daytona. It's not going to be with a restrictor plate, though. It's just with a tapered spacer, which is a little bit different. They're not lowering the horsepower all the way, so that's going to be just straight pack racing. But basically, I think a lot of the controversy is it's once again NASCAR it's a gimmick to a lot of people. I know I'm probably one of the few people in this chat. Or I don't know. I think the chat's pretty split, but I know on this panel, I think I'm the only one who's actually kind of excited for it. I think everyone. It's exciting to see whether it works, but I actually am excited for it because I think it will work, and I think it will be fun for a lot of fans. A lot of people are skeptical. They think it's going to just be, drafting. The best drivers aren't going to win as often. There's going to be more wrecks, and they think that that's just all NASCAR wants, is to be just more wrecks. But in a nutshell, that's it. It's going to make a lot of the medium-sized tracks sort of like pack races with drafting and whatnot. So I don't know how do you feel about that, being kind of an old school fan or an older fan of the sport?
From what it seems to me, like it's that they're trying to make it like a rubber band sort of thing. In the old racing games with the other cars, you should like speed up ridiculously when you got off to a ridiculous lead. It kind of feels like that. Like, I don't know if you could really call it like improvement. I feel like it's just they're trying to manufacture a lot of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's basically going to be like, I guess you could say it's a Band-Aid, because I think they've pretty much now realized that the current package they have now, it's not working out. Some of these races are just snooze fest. And I guess they're trying to sort of, and like, I guess like, you know, put a Band-Aid on the thing. And also like the schedule, it's also a huge problem with that, with all these like 1.5 and 2 mile tracks on there as well. And they can't change the schedule until what is it, Jarrett? 2021, something like that.
Yeah, 2021. I think it's on the contract.
They made their bed and they got to bury themselves in it. That's the problem. They wanted more of those like semi-oval 1.5, 2 mile tracks, and that's what they're going to get. Like you're going to get like a very formula cookie cutter sort of race. Like, I mean, you look at the situation like a Charlotte, like they should be trying to do more of that. You think about that, because okay, it adds a different dynamic. It might be gimmicky in some regards, but it's like a road race in that regard.
Yeah, and we were saying, because I'm on the opinion that maybe 1 or 2 more rovals, but add more road courses in general. But
yeah, like you should do like what happened to Road Atlanta, or maybe Road America, or like I think there's one in Texas, I think it is, but I forget the name of it.
Yeah, they can't go to that one, the
Yeah.
Circuit of Americas, because there's like a thing in the contract with Texas Motor Speedway that they can't go to a track within 400 square miles of the track.
It's kind of BS, but yeah.
Tell me about it.
They changed that in 2011 when they built the track, because like they had an F1 race there, I think, against NASCAR in 2013, and they got over 100,000 people at the F1 race. But another thing with this package too is, aside from the Daytona 500, they're actually, since they have the tapered spacer, they're getting rid of restrictor plates at those tracks. Which, yeah. I mean, that's what they do for the Xfinity series, but at the same time, there's been plenty of races in that where a car or two can just get away from the pack and it can get spread out. So I don't know, what's your take on that? That's sort of just the blunt way of putting it. You know, I think there's a little more to it, but what's your take on that deal of getting rid of the plates?
The restrictor plates? I mean, I feel like they're just trying to make super speedways faster in that regard.
Yeah, I'm definitely of the panelists.
Like if it's
on the fence,
I haven't been able to really see Talladega all that much, but the bits and pieces I've seen, it's just like single file. It's like going to cafeteria and like like elementary school. It's like, okay, single file, and it's just like, what's the fun in that? It's just like watching a train go by.
That was basically the race last weekend.
I felt like the race this weekend was
I mean, there's no movement. There's no like competition or pace. It's just like, okay, follow the one guy, and on the last lap, we'll try and scramble.
Right.
Like, why would you watch the first 300 laps?
Yeah, I mean, that was like this past weekend. I know a lot of fans were complaining, and I think some of this is a little hypocritical of them too. But like the Stewart-Haas cars, all 4 of them got together in a line and just ran out. Like I want to say before the caution flew with like 2 to go, they were up front by 3 seconds over the whole pack.
Just 4 cars. Yeah, 4 cars were just working together in a single file, taking over, and then like the rest of the pack, they couldn't catch up.
Well, and I think part of the pack was side drafting too, but I kind of find it funny that NASCAR fans are so against this, seeing how the fact that DEI for about a 5-year span could do the same thing. Hendrick could do the same thing, and no one ever complained about that, really. Even Roush did it for a year, and no one really complained about it. But now with social media, it seems like about everybody is upset with that. But it's kind of the same deal there too.
Yeah, so speaking of the race, I guess we can sort of move on from that. And so we had Talladega. I guess we can start giving our thoughts on that. Personally, I mean, the race, it was just pretty kind of a snooze fest and stuff anyways. I mean, as soon as I saw, I think it was the first lap, the Stewart-Haas cars, they were like in a single file line. I'm like, oh man, it's over. Like, there's no way. They're not, like, nobody's touching them today. And I mean, they worked together pretty well the whole race. I think they were 1, 2, 3, 4 for like, I want to say about like maybe 95% of the race. They were like 1, 2, 3, 4 there.
Yeah, close to that.
Yeah, it seems like that. And just nobody could stop them. And I was just screaming at the top of my lungs at my mom's television at her house. Like, can someone break these cars up? Like, someone just like get in between them, just like stop them. But nobody did, and you saw what happened. And if that caution didn't come out, it was pretty much going to be Kurt Busch's race. Nobody was going to pass him. But I mean, congratulations to Eric Almirola on getting a second win there.
Yeah, I mean, if you technically think about it, he's using the same equipment and crew that Danica Patrick did, and he's had imminently more success than Patrick has had in her entire career in the number 10.
Yeah, that's true. But I want to defend her to a certain extent. Like, look at me defending Danica. But I mean, a lot of people were like, yeah, like look at him. He's got more success than Danica. But I'm like, at the same time, she shouldn't have never been in NASCAR because she was an open wheel driver. So you can't. There's really no comparison.
It's a tough conversion, but at the same rate, like it's NASCAR's fault too because they were hyping her as like the next Jeff Gordon.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, well, and one of the things that about the Stewart-Haas cars going ahead that I sort of at the same time I think they could have been broken up because they had the perfect strategy, like just work together the whole time. You know, don't get out of the line. You know, they're all veteran drivers. I mean, I had said before that Eric Almirola is the least tenured driver in Cup Series at that team, and he's been there for a decade now. But when another team got lined up and tried passing them in the Gibbs cars, and people wouldn't prefer this, but Kyle Busch was the one who was able to pull ahead of them for a bit before the top line broke up. So I think that a big part of it is the drafting package, but at the same time, another large part of it is the fact that they had the best strategy. The drivers were the most patient and just sort of well-rounded at drafting and basically being a plate driver compared to the other guys. And most of that pack, if we look back there, aside from Keselowski and Logano, were pretty much really young drivers or drivers who aren't used to being up at the front. So I think a lot of that has to do with their competition not being as experienced. I don't think it's as much as the drafting package is broken, even though it's not as preferable as I'd like it to be. But I don't know. That race just sort of had the right amount, the right factors come into play that all came together for a blast stew. You know,
it was a perfect storm of just, you know, SHR is the best team in NASCAR right now. Ford has the last several years been the best at restrictor plate tracks like that. You know, SHR's got the best drivers. They all qualified 1 through 4. The rest of the field didn't wreck, so we didn't have very many cautions the first half of the race. So it was a perfect storm in this case. I don't think the package is perfect for this type of track, this type of racing, but it's not bad. You know, we saw towards the end of the race when it was winding down, you had the 4 of them way ahead of everybody else. That other pack where everyone was kind of equal was really fun to watch. It was great racing, 2 and 3 wide. People could actually make moves and whatnot. So that was really fun. It was just literally these 4 were just so much better. And I give the teams and the setups a little more credit. I think it was Steve Letarte, but then they all talked about on the NBC broadcast how all the SHR cars were skewed more like to the right. You got your car skewed this way because you're turning left mostly, so you want to be able to kind of like get the back wheels. You want to get the spoiler in the air and everything. But those 4 cars were particularly more skewed this way than the others to help reduce drag, which I assume increases speed. And apparently that was obviously intentional, but it's interesting to me that like those 4 teams just committed to it. And if it was such an advantage to them, I wonder if we'll see going forward other race teams kind of try to do the same thing like next year, because I've never seen 4 cars like that, all from the same organization, dominate a restrictor plate race like that maybe ever. Now, to be fair, I didn't start watching racing until kind of after the Dale Earnhardt era, but from what I've gone back and seen, he was good, but I hadn't seen dominance like that before.
I think it also has a lot to do with the amount of money they can pour into research and development. Like they can do into downforce drafting, aerodynamics. You could throw much more money into it, like say, than furniture row racing, which is shutting down, which is a completely different issue that NASCAR is dealing with, I feel like.
Mm-hmm. No, it's true.
And also with this team, SHR, like this is now mind you, I've only been watching NASCAR since 2004, but this is the first team that, like, all 4 drivers, you can make a legit argument on why they're gonna win the title. Like, you can make an argument for Harvick, for Kurt Busch, for Eric Almirola now, and also Clint Boyer. I mean, this team is just that good. I mean, even Hendrick when they had Johnson Jr. and Gordon, there was always that one guy who would have their off year.
They can if you go through there.
I think we sleep and forget about Joe Gibbs Racing from 15 to 16 with Hamlin, Edwards, Kenseth, and Kyle Busch.
I don't know. There's always that one guy that would just
not in 2016. No, I think everyone thought they were all going to make it to Homestead, and up until the last lap at Phoenix, they were going to have 3 out of the 4 cars at Homestead. So I don't know. That's the one year that I will say I'll throw that name in there. That's in my opinion, that's the best team I have seen as a NASCAR fan. But Hendrick in the mid 2000s is right there as well. I think Jimmy Johnson probably gives Hendrick the edge, but no, you're right. Stewart-Haas this year has been unbelievable, historically unbelievable.
Well, and again, I think a lot of it too, with those drivers being that good, is also strategy. I didn't like the 2-car drafting at all. I have made that pretty well known. But at the same time, the strategy used with that, I don't understand a lot of the time why people didn't use that for pack racing. And that's basically what you saw there. They stuck together the whole race. They made sure they'd get each other forward the same way that Hendrick would do in 2011 or so. And I think you're going to probably see a lot more of that, at least at Daytona next year, seeing how that's at least the same package that we have right now. But
yeah, absolutely. I have to agree with you there, man. Yeah, tandem drafting, that was an odd time in NASCAR's history, I guess you could say. I guess what's funny about that is Junior, he would do it in the early 2000s when we had pack racing, and then once we did tandem racing, he just complained about it. Weren't we just talking about that the other day, Jarrett?
I think so. I think we were either during the Pro Series race or last week after the stream, we were talking about that. But yeah, like you'd see in 2003, 2004, Dale Jr. do that same thing, push somebody like 10 car lengths out in front of the field. At Daytona 500 one year he did that. But then as soon as everyone figured it out, suddenly he hated it. I don't know. It's funny. Oh, and really quick, everyone in the chat, lick the like button.
Yeah, I was about to say that.
Lick the like button.
Yeah, that's what we got to
grind on now. Licking everything.
All right, so the next thing I want to talk about, the officiating, NASCAR officiating. There was some controversy here. So apparently NASCAR, they went a lap over with the pace laps. I think they were only supposed to run like 2 pace laps, but they ran 1 extra one, even though the track was cleaned up. And that caused a lot of guys to run out of fuel on the pace lap. Yes, Talladega. It was a fuel mileage race at Talladega. I know that sounds crazy. Ryan Blaney ran out of gas. Kevin Harvick ran out of gas. Then on the final lap, Kurt Busch, who had this race won, was the most dominant car the whole race. He runs out of fuel. And then Eric Almirola wins. And Kurt Busch was, Kurt Busch, I'll give him props. He has changed, because if that happened to Kurt Busch, let's say in like 2011, Kurt Busch would just be
fuck out.
Yeah, he would just start flipping out, start cussing everyone out and stuff. But he
would be suspended.
Probably. So that just shows how far Kurt Busch has came from. But yeah, what were your guys' reactions to it?
I mean, I think that was a huge blunder on their part, but I think that was also NASCAR does that from time to time. You saw it a few years ago at Pocono when it was a fuel mileage race. They ran extra laps under caution, and it's sort of, you've seen it at Indianapolis before. So I think that was sort of a little bit of a NASCAR call there, like go an extra pace lap. I think NASCAR does that from time to time to make finishes more interesting, which in this case it did. I think the bigger one that people don't have as much of a problem with is the fact that there was a crash in the final lap and they let him race back to the line. I know Kurt Busch had a huge problem with it, but I, for one, am okay with that. It's just my problem is how inconsistent they are with it. They got to do one or the other. And that's been my biggest gripe with NASCAR officiating. I think they need to be more consistent with all of their calls. I think they need to structure it based on whatever caution too. We run 2 pace laps in this situation, 3 in this, 4 in this, and so on until we hit a red flag. So I think that's a big NASCAR that they're at fault for that. But at the end of the day, no one's really going to remember it at the end of the season unless it somehow makes a big influence on the championship. So I'm expecting this to happen more in the future. That's sort of my extensive take on it.
I agree with you in the sense that, like, I like that they let them race back to the flag, and it seems like more often than not they do. because I like to see finishes finish under green, and you like to see the guys, with the smoke in the background, like barrel into the finish line, still neck and neck. That's resulted in some of the most exciting finishes in history. 07 Daytona 500, even this race right here was very, and it was an exciting, dramatic finish. In regards to the pace lap or the caution laps leading up to that restart, I'd have to go back and I wish I could go back, and I know NASCAR sometimes uploads their races to YouTube like a week later, so I kind of want to go back and look at it. I can't imagine, and I'm not sure what NASCAR would be thinking running an extra pace lap. I don't think their intention was, hey, these people are close on fuel, let's run an extra pace lap just to see if what happens.
Hold on. I think otherwise. Are you sure that wasn't staged there?
But it is Talladega, and I think Talladega is in itself a final 2-lap overtime restart at Talladega is going to be plenty exciting. You don't need to throw that extra wrench in there. But then you're also right, because 2015 Kevin Harvick completely screwed over the whole field, caused an intentional wreck to save his playoff spot. NASCAR didn't care, so maybe they all are okay with screwy last lap things at a Talladega. But I'd just be I'd want to go back and look to see if if there was like a extra commercial break or something like that, because like we talked about earlier, they didn't have as many cautions in the first couple laps in this race, or the first couple of stages. I mean, and if we remember Fox's broadcast when they did their Talladega race back in April or May or whenever it was, people were complaining about how many commercials there were. There were tons of commercials because that race gets a lot of views. Fox sold extra ad space. I bet NBC did the same thing. I'll bet if we actually went back, I bet there were more commercial breaks during this race than your average NBC NASCAR race. And maybe since there hadn't been that many yellows, they have, we got to air some more commercials. We got to add a lap. That gets us 3 more commercials in. That's why I'd want to go back and look to see what maybe their thought process was. I think it was commercials more than anything, but maybe they were trying to manufacture more drama. It's NASCAR. Wouldn't put it past it.
In this instance, I am willing to be the Alex Jones of the NASCAR community on this one.
They turn the frogs gay, I take it.
Definitely. All the drunk people in the infield, too.
The overtime line, turning the frogs gay.
Carnation clip that.
Trails. Right.
Yeah, but I don't know. NASCAR officiating, they're so suspect doing things like that and certain cautions at certain times. I don't know. It just seems like something they would do. Again, we're probably never going to know 100% for sure, but that would be my take on it.
Rusty in the chat says NASCAR hates Kurt. He's probably right.
Well, I've done this to him before.
They probably had a hard-on against Kurt for probably 10 years by now. Remember, he was out of NASCAR and on a bad team for a long time. He got all but excommunicated.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, he even threatened a pit reporter at one point, Bob Pockers.
Oh yeah, I think that's the part that really killed him.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's you can find that on YouTube still.
Yeah, and there's compilations. There's actually it's an over hour-long video called Kurt Busch Rageaholic. And it
came out in 2012 too.
Yeah, 2012, so it's not been updated. But it's we used to have a running meme on this channel that when something would go wrong for Kurt Busch, we would play an audio clip of him just screaming the F-bomb for about 10 seconds straight. The whole time. There was one. I'm not going to break because I've been on cussing abstinence since July on the stream, but we had this clip that we'd always bring up where he'd be like, "What's the spot?" Would be like, "What's the damage?" And it's like, "Well, I can't see it from here." And it's on the right side of the car. We're on the effing back straightaway, effing Einstein. It's like that's just Kurt Busch. That's how kids grew up knowing him. So I would totally see NASCAR being like, yeah, he is not going to be the face of our sport anytime soon, even though I think he has changed.
A father figure to a whole generation.
The drunken, abusive father, maybe.
A negative father figure.
With apparently a CIA girlfriend that goes and kills people.
Oh, yeah, that was a great interview.
Oh, I remember that. Holy crap, that was crazy. I remember people at school would come up to me because they knew I was a NASCAR fan, and they would ask is Kurt mentally ill or something like that? What's wrong? It was saying his girlfriend's a CIA agent going to kill him. And I had to say I don't know what's going on with that, but I don't know. That's great.
A friend of mine with that actually sent me a Young Turks video, and that's how I found out about it.
Oh, the Young Turks.
I found out from the freaking Young Turks that Kurt Busch apparently has a crazy CIA girlfriend.
They talked about NASCAR? That's the last place I expect them to ever talk about anything like that.
You think you're surprised? I was surprised that's how I found out about it. But then
Oh,
that's
man.
NASCAR in the last 15 years in a nutshell. Like, just expect the unexpected, no matter how stupid.
All right, so now that we got officiating out of the way, so let's give a rundown of the playoff situation and
like rate the race first.
What was that?
What are we gonna rate the race out of 10?
Oh, that's right. I forgot to do that.
I'm very interested to see your guys' take.
You know what? I'll rate it out of 10. I'll give it like a 5, a 5.5. Like, I mean, just there wasn't really anything like interesting like going on until like the final 3 laps. Like, it was very predictable the whole time. And for Talladega, that's odd.
Yeah, I'll give it a little lower than usual. Usually I'm on the high end on this show, but I'm going to give it about a 4 because I just remember for a large portion of the first half of the race, I was actually kind of like not in a good mood. I'm like, this is like nothing's happening. I was flipping back and forth between that and the Texans game. Texans are blowing their lead. And so I'm like, oh God, I just was in a bad mood for about half the race. The end of the race though was outstanding. Had some drama. And then of course the Texans came back to win. So I was in a good mood during the second half of the race. So maybe that played into it more than I realized.
And just really quick, speaking of football, congratulations getting blocked by the Steelers tree. That's amazing.
Yeah, I don't know if I want to construe that as a good thing or not. I think I laughed for about 10 minutes straight there. But if I end up committing suicide by 3 bullets to the back of the head and then conveniently hang myself at the same time, I think you know who may have done it. Might be getting Hillaried. Sorry,
I'm very interested.
Yes, I've crossed the wrong people. It's time to die.
I'm very interested though. Was this before or after you went to Dallas that you got blocked? Because I
literally found out last week, so I have no idea.
Well, at least they know who you are. I
don't know. I mean, it's probably just like some big like spanning thing. It's like you don't like this guy, this, that. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know if it's anything really that serious. It's just like whatever.
I'd find it funny if that was one of the conditions.
I found it hilarious. I was looking up Juju in the onesie. It's like, oh, here's a link, and it's just like you were blocked by the Steelers. I think I just laughed like senselessly for about 10 minutes.
It'd be funny as hell though. It's like you find out that was based on your criticisms. That was one of the things that Le'Veon Bell had for his contract. Like, I will come back, but this has to be one of the.
Surprisingly, Le'Veon and Antonio Brown have not blocked me yet. Big Ben has blocked me. Mike Mitchell has blocked me. I mean, Mike Mitchell probably because I think I bitched about him back in January. And it's like, fuck that guy. And then Big Ben, I don't know. Probably apparently blocks everybody.
Who's
then the Steelers like?
Who's the most odd person to block you thus far? Because like,
I only know those 3.
I found out I was blocked by what's his name, Cusack, the actor. I found out I never tweeted about him before, and I found out I was blocked by him.
I don't know. Like, it might be just like a list they pick up or something.
Yeah, I got.
It's like these are trolls. Block them.
Yeah, one of my friends sent me like, "Hey, go check. I just got blocked by John Cusack. Did you?" And I'm like, went on, looked. I'm like, I did too.
What did you like? Bitch about 2012?
I don't know. I don't know what I did. I mean,
well, I'm not blocked by anyone yet, but that'll probably change. As soon as I make my Danica Patrick bus video, I'll probably get blocked by her. But anyways,
I don't know if I've been blocked by Danica. Let me take a look because I've done a video of her. Let's take a look. Let's take a look.
So while you do that,
I have not been blocked by her.
Ah, see, there you go.
Okay.
That's a surprise, though.
Some people can take a joke.
Yeah. So anyway,
if you show up on Joe Rogan, I'm pretty sure you have to know how to take a joke.
So now back to the playoffs. Kansas is this week. It's an elimination race. Jarrett, can you give us the rundown on the point situation right now and who's on the cut line?
Let me look it up. I'm not blocked by Danica either. All right. I was actually not expecting to be at this point thus far, so let me stall for me.
Yeah, I don't know. Just it's when I say NASCAR playoffs, it's still doesn't feel right.
Me and Radman have actually just went back to just calling it the chase anymore. I can't.
I don't know.
So Elliott and Almirola are in, right?
Yes, they're already locked in.
Alrighty.
Yeah,
So
I think you have to win, and then you're automatically locked into the next round, right?
Yeah, it's stupid, but yeah, it's the way it is.
I don't mind it for the playoffs. It's the winning to get into the
So like
playoffs.
literally, you can wreck out 3 times, and then win a race and still advance.
Yes.
It's weird. Like literally, you could wreck out every single race, then win run race, and then automatically get in.
Well, you have to be in the
all
top
you have to win
30.
is like 3 times.
You have to be in the top 30 though. But I mean, that's not really hard to do.
In the regular
Yeah.
season, yeah.
Literally, you'd have to like not wreck.
So, all right. So the ones who are in right now: Kevin Harvick, Kyle Busch, Joey Logano, Kurt Busch, Clint Bowyer, Truex. Cutoff line: the ones below: Brad Keselowski, Ryan Blaney, Kyle Larson, Alex Bowman. ESPN does not have how far above; they just have the points. But I'm pretty sure it's 18 points. Yeah, 18 points between Truex and Keselowski. Then from there, 22 back is Blaney. Now 36 back due to his penalty is Kyle Larson. And Bowman, we don't even need to talk about because he's not.
Yeah, I think Danny's not here
Yeah, that's why I said that, because I know Danny's not here to
defend him.
Yeah, there's not much to defend though.
Also, huge shout out to the Bombeto for the $199 super chat. Appreciate that, man. He says, awesome stream as always. And P.S. the Sox in 6. I don't watch baseball, so there's
Astros should win. It should still be Astros Brewers, but it's probably not. But
I'm hoping for Astros
Dodgers
Brewers.
Red Sox is going to be the God hates us all World Series. That's
The
really what it's going to be.
freaking Brewers, they're making me actually root for an LA team and feel sick.
Brewers blew it, man. Craig Counsell's over managing fucking oblivion again.
Good. I'm glad.
So back to the playoff situation for NASCAR at least. So back to the playoff situation for NASCAR. So the 4 that are below the cut line, Martin Truex Jr. is below the cut line, guys. Believe it or not. I predicted
He's above it. He's above it right now still.
Oh, he is. Oh wait,
He's 8th.
Who's below it?
Keselowski and Blaney are below it.
Okay, Keselowski, Blaney, Larson, and Bowman. Okay.
Mhm.
So Bowman, he's basically done. He's not winning Kansas, and he has to win that race, and he's not doing that. Again, this playoffs promotes mediocrity, and he's probably going to run like 15th or 13th the whole time. Larson, who was my championship pick, gosh, like Ganassi, UrinatingTree talks about the Chargers all the time. We all know, F.U. Spanos all the time, and what he says is that Phillip Rivers is just being wasted on that team. You can make the same argument for Larson. He's just wasting his career on that team right now. This team, it's Ganassi, they're just mediocre, and Larson's a generational talent, just suffering on this team here. Just he's the reason that they're in the playoffs. Without him,
Be right back really quick.
okay. All right, so the other 2 had to leave really quick, but yeah, Larson, he's out of the play, or he's in a win and you're in situation, and then Ryan Blaney, who won the Roval, now he's in a point situation as well, and Keselowski, who had 3 wins at one point, now he's out on the outside looking in. So we'll have to wait and see what happens on that. But yeah, Tree, what are your thoughts? I don't know if you've really been keeping up with the playoffs or anything like that.
I haven't really been able to, unfortunately. I've been watching a race here and there, but I haven't really been super intense into the playoffs, unfortunately. I'm still into the whole like gimmicky thing, and it's tough to keep up.
I feel you.
Off the top of my head, I'm just shocked Brad is out at the moment, especially in this round of all rounds, because this has always been the round that he kind of like thrives in because he's always so good at Talladega.
Mm-hmm.
And, historically, he's fine at Dover and good at Kansas, but I just think it's interesting that he's out. It's just kind of surprising to me. I mean, he's Brad Keselowski. A lot of people were already penciling him into Homestead 4 weeks ago. He's had such an up and down season. All season long, we didn't talk about him until August. He all of a sudden won 3 races in a row. Everyone's like, damn, he's going to Homestead. And now everyone's like, well, damn, now he's 9th in points. Keselowski's been like the ultimate like hot and cold driver this year. But yeah, I don't know. That's the big shock to me. And then also Truex being 8th, which means if a guy like Kyle Larson, who very well could win at Kansas, or a guy like Brad Keselowski, who could very well win at Kansas, if they do win, Truex very likely could be eliminated, and that would be surprising.
That's the death of Furniture Row Racing.
That would be a dishonorable send-off, unfortunately.
Yeah, I definitely think with his performance, because I mean he hasn't been the same way he was at the start of the season. I think a big part of that is, that is definitely on the mind for a lot of those guys. I mean, I know a lot of them are going to get hired by different people and whatnot, seeing how they really are the best team in the sport when you think like individually over the last year or so, few years. But I do think it's sort of that same situation where, in any other sport where an athlete will see that they're not going to be there next year, or a coach will see they're not going to be there next year and not know what's coming up. And I think that plays into it. I think that mentally there's some cracks being shown, I think. And I think if you start seeing like mistakes in critical moments from one of the, from Truex, or a bad call from Colpern, or bad moves on pit road, I think that sort of would be that all coming in a physical form on the racetrack. He's actually the one I'm not most surprised about being under, though, or near the cutoff line, though. The one that I'm most surprised with, because I thought he had turned it around, was Ryan Blaney, but he's been pretty poor, I'd say, this round. And same with Kyle Larson, which that one's just sort of a whole hodgepodge of issues.
Well, Larson, yeah, I mean, that team, I don't know, there's like people saying, oh, you need to fire the crew chief or leave the team and stuff like that. And yeah, I don't know. It's like, it's just weird. Like heading into the playoffs, like, oh, okay, they finally figured it out, and then he almost wins Vegas. So I'm like, oh yeah, this is going to be a good playoffs for Larson for sure. But I mean, he's still in the same situation he was in last season. And last season, he blew an engine. He was out of the round of 12. And now, with no wins this season and more of a mediocre season compared to 2017, he's still in the same situation. Oh, and Keselowski is still surprising. Like, I didn't expect him to be that below the cut line either.
Blaney being below it doesn't shock me too much. I mean, I thought he'd be eliminated this round. I know he won the Roval, so he had that momentum going his way, but he's just been kind of like, on the traditional oval tracks, he hasn't really been good since like March or April. Like, he's really been average. He's been a 10th place car most weeks, and I didn't think that was good enough. Kind of the same with Larson. As much as I like Larson and want him to move on, that team just has not shown consistent speed. I think their season and Blaney's season has been very similar. Great. Every now and then they're contending for wins, but more often than not, they're getting beat by a Kyle Busch or a Kevin Harvick, and that's at their best. So it's not shocking to see them both out right now, especially Larson, because I don't think Dover. I was surprised he ran so bad at Dover. I thought Dover would be his bright spot in this round, but with Talladega and then Kansas, I feel like there's a lot of people that are good at Kansas. So it's like, I don't know who really is the best there. It's not too shocking to me.
I think we had said before too that Jay McMurray is not a bad driver, but he runs where his equipment is. If his equipment is like in 2004. You look at the whole season, you do a whole season point standings, he's around 6th. He was about a 6th place driver most that year. This year, he's been, 21st. He's been in the mid-teens to mid-20s most of the year, and I think that's where the equipment is. Whereas Kyle Larson right now, he's made it this far. He's been this good this season. But a really interesting note, too, is that even the best drivers can't take, bad to lower end mediocrity of equipment to a win. I mean, he's the only driver aside from Alex Bowman in the last 12 that has not won a race this season. That to make a comparison, I have nothing against Alex Bowman. He is not the same talent level as a Kyle Larson.
Yeah, so, it's not even close. It's not even close, man.
Now, say he goes to Gibbs and still runs like this, then I'd have some serious questions. But yeah. We won't know that unless it happens. But seeing how I think he signed a extension at this point, we're probably not going to see him with a good equipment and a good team for a long while.
I said this last week. There's going to come a point in Larson's career where he can either stay loyal or he can be selfish. Here, it's kind of like what Kevin Durant did. He could have stayed with OKC, but you're playing with Russell Westbrook, who's happens to be one of the biggest ball hogs in the league and stuff. And sometimes you can't really play with him at times either. And he had to do what was best for him, and I think Larson eventually has to do that. So hopefully a spot opens up at like Joe Gibbs Racing or Stuart Haas Racing. But it looks like Stuart Haas, they're pretty, looks like they're probably going to sign Suarez to the 41. So we'll see how Larson does in the future.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was done. I was just on that note. I'm just like, I feel like Larson. I'd like him to get a better car, but it's just there's not better
none
cars
available.
available. Like, and I feel like there won't be for 2 or 3 years at a minimum. So
Plus, you're going to get a few big free agents too. I mean, for example, Truex. He's a free agent.
And I just feel like
it's going to be competitive. Like you're going to be getting like a substandard car. That's the problem.
So yeah, just doing the best with what he's got. So we'll see what happens with him. Now, this is basically Joe Gibbs related here, and so for the next one, some news came out about like how Joe Gibbs Racing jacked the prices up on Furniture Row Racing. I don't know, Tree, if you heard of this. I can't remember who wrote the story, but Barney Vister, who is the owner or is about to be the former owner of Furniture Row Racing, said last year's cost for the whole Joe Gibbs Alliance was around $3 to $4 million, and then he says 2019 they would have increased it to 10 to 12 million
because they know they can get away with it. And that's the problem with NASCAR too. What they're looking at right now is that like the costs to maintain and develop cars and do research and development is just so great that the only people that can keep it up are like the big shots. Your Joe Gibbs, your Stuart Haas, your Roush, maybe. Probably your.
I don't know about Roush. I don't know about
Roush was an old name. I'm thinking. Sorry.
Yeah.
Roush is more mid tier, same as like Wood Brothers, and Ganassi. I'm thinking like old time when they used to be like hot shots.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, like the mid tier teams, when they start falling off, that is your problem, because at that point, where's your competition? Like, you're not going to fill up a 40-car field unless it's going to be like either like pay drivers or it's going to be just like a bunch of random filler.
And also you have to remember too as well, Gibbs, I'm quite sure Joe Gibbs was thinking like, we're giving, all this equipment, all this stuff to them, and they're beating us. Furniture Row, they won the championship last year. And he's like thinking to himself, man, they're beating us pretty good. I don't know, like if we want them around anymore. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, let's jack up the prices, and if they can pay for it, then fine, they can pay for it. But if they don't, then he knows better than anyone, they're gone. So one less competition to worry about.
The thing with racing is you're not really doing this for like huge money if you're like an independent financier. There's been so many people and independent financiers who've like come and gone so fast because they realize, oh no, I actually can't make money on this because I have to invest a shitload of money into R&D, tires, fuel, like licensing. But
if you're coming to NASCAR to make like a profit,
not really. You ain't. Unless you're really big, you ain't. The time to make money was like the late 90s, early 2000s.
Yeah.
Overall cost wasn't super high.
But now, it's a different story.
And there's now like you're dealing with like high-end, like futuristic cars. You're not dealing with like, oh, I can get like a Chevy Camaro and then like tune it up and then just roll it out on the racetrack. You're talking about custom-built cars now.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's a big reason why the popular saying is if you want to make a small fortune in racing, you have to start with a large one. I mean, I remember hearing that when I started watching when I was like 7. And I think a big thing with this Furniture Row deal is Furniture Row was basically the 5th Gibbs car. And I think the big red flag on this whole deal to show how much power Joe Gibbs had over this team was Indianapolis last year. Kyle Busch and Martin Truex Jr. crash. Kyle Busch's crew chief comes over, so torn in his mouth. They get, they don't fight or anything, but then Truex's team gets involved, and one of the members of Truex's team starts yelling at him and trying to push him out of their pit. And after all that is said and done, the whole thing is caught on camera. Obviously, Kyle Busch's crew chief is at blame for it. Truex's crew members get suspended
for 2 races. 2 races, by the way,
by Joe Gibbs.
Or I'm sorry, I think it was 4 races. Go ahead.
It would. Either way, it showed how much power Joe Gibbs had over that team. And now with all this coming out, we see just how much he was, asking for, how far reaching he probably thought he could get. And it shows that even a billionaire gets to a point where they're sick of signing multi-million-dollar checks. So,
of course, you're not in it. Like, it doesn't matter if it's a drop in the bucket, but when you keep doing it every single year, it doesn't matter if you've finally found success. You're going to be like, okay, I'm done. I'm going to cash out. I'll sell my license. I'll sell my rights. I'll sell my cars. I'll make whatever I had left. I'll call it a day. And I'll go back to my little loft in Florida. I'll sit back. I'll relax.
Yeah, that's what.
And I'll get my little daiquiri. Sip on that. Call it a day.
Dude, that's why, I mean, people, they're like, oh, man, I feel so bad for Barney Verser. I'm like, dude's a gazillionaire, man. Like, I don't care. Like,
He loses his money back by reselling stuff. So,
he's losing his team.
The issue you got to deal with is the pit crew and, like, the drivers. You know, the people that are employed by Barney Verser.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, no, they're the ones everyone, like, gets worried about.
Yeah, I think a lot of them are just sort of being absorbed into Gibbs. I think some of them haven't, but I mean, you got other teams. Is it Levian? They're going to Toyota. So Toyota is very tight knit with who they bring in, who their people are. So I'd assume they'd probably bring in the rest of them.
I'd say Levine Family Racing gets half of them, and then the 19 gets the other half. I mean, they're Joe Gibbs is trying to basically rebuild the 19 car. He's trying to rebuild that team. I mean, they just got rid of Suarez as crew chief and brought Dave Rogers back, only temporarily, only for like a short time period, I think, because Cole Pern is probably going over to the 19 with Truex. It's not confirmed yet, but it's probably going to happen.
It's just, I don't know anymore. I know they were talking about another team coming in. I forgot who it was. It might have just been another team from another series that wanted to come into Cup.
This has been a crazy, silly season. This is the craziest silly season I've ever seen, really, since 2008. I mean, just teams going over. What was that?
I think it'd be over that. I think the only thing that like 2007 and 2008 has over it is the fact that they changed the car bodies. And the Bombito says 2-0 Red Sox. So.
Red Sox already. I know Dodgers just won, but 2-0 Red Sox.
I got full disclosure. I have two screens right here. Astros.
They just must have gotten a base hit double.
And Rockets right there.
Devils.
Rockets game's boring, but yeah.
And Chuck, come on.
So this is the
As I said, my prediction was Astros Brewers, and if they don't like it, guess what's going to be? It's going to be me jinxing teams again, even though.
That's what you always do.
Yeah, right?
Can you predict the Rams to win a Super Bowl then, so Darian will shut the hell up?
Well, no, they're so good. I mean, the Rams are so good that, I mean, you can't jinx them. That's how good they are. You can't jinx them.
Yeah. Well, my original pick for the Super Bowl this year was Jags versus Saints. Jags don't look too good. Saints look all right.
Yeah, they look okay.
For now.
Yeah,
that's the problem. It's like I saw last year with your Super Bowl pick at the start of the playoffs or something, and I'm like sitting there, I'm like, please don't pick him, and I forgot. Yeah, and I was like, yes, he didn't pick the Vikings. It didn't matter, but still, there's still hope. I actually literally, when I ran my marathon, not last weekend, but the weekend before, I was like, I run better when I'm angry. Hold up 38-7. It'll help.
Oh man. So
got a bit.
Yeah. So Tree, I guess you have to head off here in a little bit. You got your other podcast at 9:00 your time. So I guess the one thing I wanted to ask before you head off here, now I know you'll probably say no on this, but I'm just saying, let me just say how cool it would be to see you make a hater's guide to the 2019 NASCAR season. You'll probably say no to that, but I'm just saying that video would be awesome.
If I have a right idea and I have the time, that wouldn't be a bad option. But it's something that, you got to research. You got to make sure you're not talking out of your ass.
Well, we can help you with that. I mean, if you need us to give you the rundown of certain drivers, you have my
scouts.
Like this guy's like terrible, or this guy's up and coming and stuff.
Hey, You should pick Trevor Bayne to win the championship. Don't. It's surefire.
The one-hit wonder from the Daytona 500.
No. He's changed. He's way better. He's driving for Joe Gibbs. He's a lock. Just don't tell anyone I told you this. You didn't hear it from me.
Ooh, that sounds like a. I think Danica Patrick might make a comeback then.
We do have to talk about this one.
Wait, hold on. I think I hear Alan Kulwicki is rising from the dead. He's going to bring out his old 7 Hooters car, and he's going to do Polish victory laps from here till Kingdom Come.
I do. You probably heard about this, but Logan Mayo in the chat brings it up. EDP got his channel deleted.
Yeah, he did. He did today.
Man.
Oh man.
It's just fun. Like I'll go on anytime the Eagles lose and just be like, I'm ready. I'm ready. I know this is going to be horribly cringy, but it's like it goes that so bad it's good territory. So bummer.
Yeah.
Does that count as the football gods having no mercy? I do have to ask that.
What?
With EDP being gone, does that count as the football gods having no mercy in any realm of football now?
Oh yeah.
YouTube.
Good.
Yeah, you could.
It's
I
sad.
just think it's funny. Well, I mean, he has his channel back up again. It has like 5,000 subs, I think. So you have to look for it. But yeah, I think it's funny. Like the Eagles won the Super Bowl last year, and like, yeah, they're doing a little bit bad this year, and then he just starts like, he's just like getting so pissed, and he's just like, yep, season's done. Like, wow. Yeah.
Yeah, we need to have him on a BS stream.
Yeah.
I guess to end on the whole EDP thing, like Bowman did run an Eagles paint scheme at Pocono earlier this year. So I was thinking, like, let's get EDP out to a NASCAR race. That would be hilarious. That'd be interesting right there. Let's get him out to a NASCAR race.
Well, he's in California based, right?
Yeah, you can go to Fontana. Yeah, you can go to Fontana.
Yeah. We could bring him out to Vegas. I'd go out there and just record. I would record that as a documentary.
Right. Well, I mean, they did it once he went to the Eagles.
Oh yeah, that's right. It did. Yeah, he's been to Philadelphia quite a few times, but yeah.
Oh yeah.
So, anyways, UrinatingTree, thank you so much for coming on again on the weekly podcast and stuff. I know you still kind of keep tabs on, with NASCAR and stuff, but it's still we still appreciate you coming out here and I guess showing the sport some love.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it, dude. Glad you had me on, brother.
Yeah, no problem. And hopefully, so we're trying to do some plans for 2019 and stuff. Would you be interested in appearing probably again, like sometime next year?
Possibly. I mean, I'll think about it, but I'll definitely let you in on it if I want to go on again, man. Definitely.
All right, cool. All right, man. Thanks for coming on, man. We appreciate you having you on tonight.
All right, dude. Have a good night.
All right.
That's awkward.
Yeah. I mean, UrinatingTree, man. Yeah, he's a cool guy, man. It's always great to have him on the show and all that stuff. And I just realized something. So 2 things. First off, hit the like button. Lick the like button, guys. And second off, Danny B's still not here. Where's he at?
He said he's at work. Just stuff going on. It was in the chat, and I think he sent us a thing on DM.
Oh, yeah, that's right. There's some customers who were taking forever buying a car. Damn
Danny
it.
B working hard.
Yeah, man. So that's where Danny B's at. And also, really quick promotion here. Witness one epic battle on November 30th with the NASCAR YouTube Pro Series. We've been doing preseason races there. And also go subscribe to their YouTube channel. They're now up to 616 the last time I checked. So it's pretty cool. Let's try and get it up to 1K before the season starts. But yeah, if you want to see me piss off IDK player, watch the NASCAR YouTube Pro Series. Watch their preseason races and our regular season races.
Watch them piss each other off while I cruise to victory.
And watch me run somewhere between occasionally good to atrocious at Homestead.
Or watch Carnation just take you out.
Yes, it's like Carnation has a magnet to me on it. But yeah, so we're having a preseason race this Sunday for anyone who's willing to watch. I don't know if you guys are racing or not, but I'll probably just hop on for a bit. We're doing Auto Club and ISM, so that should be pretty fun if y'all want to tune in. I don't know who else is racing. We know IDK is. He's the only person who's racing every preseason race. But
he lives for this.
Yeah.
You know, it's better when Darian beat him at Michigan last week.
Oh, he was.
I had a front row seat to that. I had a front row seat, and I'm watching, and I'm just sitting there like, oh, I bet you IDK is like depressed right now.
And also, really quick, guys who are asking, where's David Land? So the plan was to have Urinating Tree on for the first hour. I just sent David Land the link, so hopefully he'll be here soon. So yeah, it's always good to have David Land on the show. So now back to NASCAR. We were talking about EDP there for a little bit there, but so now back to NASCAR. So it was just announced today, Kyle Larson has and what is it called? An L1 penalty, and he's docked 10 drivers' points and stuff. So what was the whole deal with that?
I don't have the specifics. It popped up on my Twitter feed.
I looked it up earlier when they talked about it, but it was apparently, he blew that tire and had some damage during that crash at Talladega. They went on the damage clock or whatever it is. And while they were repairing on pit road, wow, God, my hat's all over the place. While they were repairing it on pit road, they used metal tabs. I don't know what those are, but something, apparently what the rule book or when they announced the penalty, they said you're only allowed to use like a tape and some other sort of like fastener whenever you're putting parts back on the car. They used metal tabs, which NASCAR claimed was against the rules. I will point this out.
All these rules. Gosh.
Yeah, shortly before we went on the air, I actually saw a tweet from Bob Pockris where he was like quoting the rule book, and the rule book actually does not say what type of fasteners are and aren't allowed. So a lot of fans, at least what I was saying, this is literally like 10 minutes before we went on the air, seem to be like kind of starting to say maybe they're going to overturn this penalty. Either way, Larson's going to be either 26 or 36 points out of the cutoff. He basically needs to win this week.
Now he's 36 out. He's 36 out of the cut line. I mean, 26, maybe he could have made it on points with adding all the stage points. But now it's for certain. Like he has to win. He's got to win the race to even have a shot.
I just thought that was interesting.
I've never been a fan of the caution clock and of these new rules for damage. I mean, I know this isn't the best way to make an argument, but I'm going to make it anyway. I saw a thing that with these damage rules, Petty wouldn't have been able to finish his final race. You would have plenty of races at Talladega that weren't won by people. A lot of races at Martinsville wouldn't have been won by people. It's just, I don't know. It's like, what, 6 minutes now because of 6 minutes and then so many people over the wall. Like, I know they made a change after the Kenseth debacle, which that was another one that was BS. I don't know. That was something that there really wasn't a problem that needed to be fixed there. I like with others, like with the chase, I understand their reasoning for that. I understand that the points race wasn't as good as it was before. Double file restarts, I understand that the restarts weren't as good, and with cars being in front of the leader, this is one of them where I don't see how you can make too big of an argument. There's like been instances, but I don't know. That's one that I've never understood, and I really hope they overturn in the coming years. I see we have a visitor.
Yeah, so I saw his comment, or I saw him in the chat. He said, "I'm coming in," so I'm just gonna wait on him for a little bit there. But yeah, I mean, these rules, I don't know, it's just unnecessary. Just once again, I know that NASCAR is being completely unnecessary with their rules and stuff. It's just unnecessary. We didn't need a timer to fix damage and stuff anyways. But anyways, what's going on, David Land? How's it going?
I'm here. Wow, awesome. Ready to get into the weekly podcast. This is always fun to do and fun to listen to. So I did catch about the last probably 5 to 10 minutes of Urinating Tree. It's always cool when you get him on here because he's a pretty major YouTuber, especially this time of year. So it's kind of neat.
We know about the Urinating Tree stuff. How is Reddit's favorite son doing right now?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm just getting over a pretty nasty sunburn I got at Petit Le Mans. But outside of that, it's been pretty fun, been pretty cool. I just talked about this car, the Roval Slayer on the old channel. And things have been good. Can't complain.
I was thinking this is the first time you've been on the stream where either one, you haven't had any real problems being like in a car and having problems getting onto it, or two, haven't been on an hour-long debate. So it's like the first normal occurrence that you're on here.
That was the thing that everybody was saying. They're like, "What are you going to debate this time?" I'm like, "I think I'm just coming on."
I mean, we had to explain. Like, there's no debating or anything this time. It's just the talk. It's just the talk.
Yeah.
Surprise! We should have a debate. We don't know what it is yet, but we have it.
I'm sure it'll happen at some point. I've been known to be a bit divisive, so we'll see.
Me too as well. I guess no, yeah, but you've been no, but you've been doing it for way longer than I have, though. But yeah, so yeah, we were just talking about the whole Larson penalty. Just what were your thoughts on that?
Which one was that?
It was just announced today. They were docked. He was docked 10 driver's points. I keep forgetting what it was for. We were just talking about it for using some sort of metal or something like that while he was preparing the car.
He was like, not instead of using like tape or whatever little fasteners they allow you to use to repair your car after a wreck, they use something different that apparently NASCAR said is against the rules.
Yeah, I had heard. Well, I hadn't heard about this penalty specifically, but I know the rule. This all kind of came about during the 5-minute crash clock thing. And they're not allowed to essentially take a big hunk of sheet metal or carbon fiber or whatever is a part of that part of the car that has been torn off and just put it back on. They're not allowed to do that anymore. So I'm guessing Larson's crew did that, and that's what the penalty is for. It's a bit silly, but rules is rules sometimes.
Yeah, stupid rules are stupid rules, I guess. Unnecessary rules are unnecessary rules as well.
It sounds like that's one that just needs to be like communicated, because I don't think any fan knew that was a rule, and I'll bet many of the crew chiefs maybe knew it was a rule, but I don't know about the crew members.
You know what? I'm absolutely 100% convinced that even NASCAR didn't know it was a rule until like the last minute. It's like, okay, this was in the rule book. Let's just penalize him right now.
Well, yeah, and in the heat of the moment, especially, he's a playoff driver. He's trying to get into the next round of the championship. So, they're probably not thinking, oh, we better read the rule book before we fix the car. They're thinking we got to get this thing back out on the track, and we got to stay with the draft, because otherwise we got no chance.
Well, and the thing that I find odd about this too is like NASCAR historically has announced their penalties on Tuesdays, and maybe they did, but this really sort of blew up earlier today. So I don't know. The whole situation is really odd. It's almost one of those things where they like, oh, we got past the weekend, and then finally someone just like came in the room like, hey, guess what I found? Check this out. Like that's what it seems like. It's like I don't think they really, that I can remember, they haven't announced a penalty on a Tuesday unless it's something like really odd, such as a 13th driver to the chase kind of thing. That's really like, it's odd situations that don't get announced on Tuesdays. So that's what's making me wonder, like, why did this take longer? I don't know. Maybe I'm reading too much into it, but that's sort of my take on it.
Yeah, I gotta agree with you there, Jarrett. So I was gonna ask you, David, what were your thoughts on the Talladega race? But you were somewhere else this weekend. You want to talk about that?
Well, yeah, sure. Well, I can talk about both because I tried to watch as much of the race as I could with the limited means I could in an airport. But so I was at Petit Le Mans this weekend with my pal Rob. We went over there, I think, on Thursday. It was Thursday afternoon. Got there Thursday evening. I have to say it's one of my personal favorite events of the year. I've been twice prior to this, 2011 and 2013. And it's just a wonderful event. I don't know if you guys know too much about Road Atlanta outside of the fact that Brad Keselowski broke his leg there once. But
it's a road course.
It is a road course, yeah. It's actually owned by NASCAR, which is interesting. But it's not owned by ISC. NASCAR themselves own it. It's kind of funny to say that because they're two arms of the same body, but it's a little interesting distinction. 10-hour sports car race, start in the middle of the morning and go all the way into the night. Just a lot of fun. I mean, if you haven't been to an IMSA race or, if you're close enough to go to one realistically, I'd say do it because it's a ton of fun. And you get a lot of value for the ticket money. I think that the 4-day ticket was $100 and you get 10 hours of racing just on the Saturday. That's not even counting the other days of practice. So yeah, it's a pretty good deal. A lot of fun. In terms of the Talladega race, I was fascinated by the Stewart-Haas domination, particularly the fact that now I think I read this on Twitter. They had done something to the body skew of the cars themselves, the chassis, to get the rear spoiler out of the air more than their competition, and that's why they were able to. It
was pushed to the what was it, Eric? To the right or the left?
Yeah, well, however, I guess the nose was pointed more to the right. The rear end was skewed to the left.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is
I just found that fascinating. I know it kind of stunk the show up, but from the perspective simply of like a fascination with technology, it was pretty cool. And I did wonder how long Stuart Haas has had that in their back pocket, and realized since this is the last race essentially that will be used with this package, that they said, you know what, let's go for it. Let's just stretch the rule book as far as we can and get an easy win. It was interesting, though it didn't lead to an interesting race.
Yeah, I mean, the reaction on Twitter, I mean, it was as to be expected and stuff. But I mean, I was looking at what Rabin was tweeting. He was like, I don't know what all the fussing is about. I mean, it's basically like it reminded him of like early 2000s plate racing, like where it's like one guy. I mean, I don't know. Did you feel the same, David, or did you think it was something else,
well, I would say probably late 90s plate racing, where you could get a couple of cars lined up, and if they would play nice with each other, they could break away from the pack. It's kind of been more of a recent trend where, and I say recent meaning like since 2001, where the pack has been virtually together the entire race. It didn't used to be that way. And even in the restrictor plate days, if you were nice with each other, or you were able to make enough of an alliance with people, you could get a 6 or 7 car pack, and that would be who would be racing for the win at the end of the race. It wasn't this, kind of what we've come to expect, where there's 20, 30 cars within 2 seconds of each other.
And also, I feel like we're also, as fans, especially younger fans, they're like conditioned to think, oh, well, if there's no big wreck, then the race was just terrible.
Oh my God! Oh, well, that was the thing, is that I think we were both watching that Dave W stream of the 2000 Winston 500, and I said on that. Too. Well, okay, we were all watching it. Yeah. Well, we're clearly all the true fans. Yeah. But this was the thing that I kind of said. I think I said in the chat was that I think that was the race that broke NASCAR. Because they set the expectation so high. They set the bar so high with that race. There was literally no way you could top that race. I mean, it didn't even have a wreck until the very end anyway. So it's like, it was, I mean, because they crashed after the line, you could say there was 188 line wide, and there was really no point where you had any kind of a breakaway, any kind of a dominant car. Literally, Mike Bliss was dominating the race in the middle part of that. I mean, it was like
he started last. He started last.
Mike Bliss from last place was dominating the race at one point, and it's like anybody could possibly win that race. I mean, it was unreal. And then you had Dale Earnhardt go from 15th to 1st in 3 laps. I mean, just unbelievable racing. But again, the bar was set so high, and the expectation was set so high that every time we go to a plate track now, there is this expectation that if it's not the 2000 Winston 500, it's the worst race ever, regardless of whether it was good or bad. Is irrelevant.
Well, an Auto Rock and Race in '94 put in the chat. He said that even Rich Bickle was running great.
Yeah, he was running like 3rd at one point. Everybody in the chat was like, "Oh, Rich Bickle's in the top 10." I'm like, "Holy crap!"
Wasn't that his only Cup Series start too, or did he like run other races?
Oh no, Rich Bickle was like a regular. He was a back marker. He was in like the Hills Brothers car or whatever. I think.
No, I think he was in the 60. Wasn't he in Jeffrey Bodine's car that race, or was that someone else?
I'm just gonna look up Rich Bickle, and usually
just look up Rich Bickle.
Yeah, you'll find him there and stuff. You might find him. But yeah, I guess.
No, he was in the 45 car, like the dog car, like the 1-800 dog car, or whatever.
Oh yeah,
yeah. It was purple and yellow. I'm pretty sure that was his car.
Yeah, that was him.
God, that was pulling one out of the back of the brain right there.
Yep, there it is. There it is.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that car! Oh my gosh! Yeah, I totally forgot about that car, man. So, so David, out of 10, what would you like rank this race? Like what? Like a 5, probably something like that.
Oh, probably not a 5. Probably like a 3, 3.5.
Wait, did I give my ranking yet?
Oh no, you didn't. We got Eric's, which I was surprised at. By the way, Eric usually ranks the races that. I mean, Eric's usually pretty high up there with like the. But
I admitted that I was probably skewed by my the up and down day that the Texans were having at the same time as the race. But yeah, I gave it a 4.
Oh,
Like the
I
hate
don't want to hear
flowed
it.
through you.
The Colts got beat by the Jets. I was so embarrassed. I was so embarrassed.
Yeah.
Vikings
Like the
beat
worst, one of the worst
Cardinals.
teams in football, and you get beat by them. What does that mean?
Oh,
Vikings
You're the
beat
worst team in football.
Woohoo! We beat the Cardinals.
Oh man.
No, but yeah, I gave the, and don't get me wrong. I had this as my ranking before I heard anyone else's, so I'm not doing this to be the negative Nelly one. I had it a 3.5 out of 10. I don't think it's as bad as Auto Club earlier in the year, but I mean, aside from one restart towards the middle of the race, and I think a lot of it too has to do with coverage. I think if they had covered more of that pack towards the end, instead of just sort of keeping them in the back of the shot and focusing on the 4 Stewart-Haas cars, it would have looked better. So I'll give it a 3.5 out of 10. It was, especially for how good the racing has been this half of the year, that's what made it even more disappointing. And I'm really hoping it's not like we change how the racing is every time we hit a restrictor plate track, because that would be really bad for the rest of the year. Because I noticed that the racing really started picking up at the start of the season, you know, around like that Martinsville range, even if Kamikaze disagrees. But like, and you know, Texas was good and Dega was good. And then after that, it got really boring for a while, like really bad. And then we went to Daytona, and ever since then, it's been good. So I'm really hoping that we can kind of buck the trend here, if at all possible, if there even is a trend. But yeah, it was probably the worst plate race of the year.
Would you rank? Wait, what was your rating for the Fontana race? I wasn't on the podcast during that time.
3 out of 10.
Oh, okay.
My rating is like 0 to 3.5. In my opinion, is like awful to bad. And then like mediocre is like 3.5 through about 6. Then 6 to 8 is good, and then from there, it's like to have me say it's a 9 or 10 out of 10 would mean it would have to be a really good race. That's why I don't say it that often.
I just think it was interesting, and I mentioned this earlier, but it's just the fact that really I think the race, if not for the Stewart-Haas dominance, was great. Like towards the end with that pack 2 and 3 wide, you know, and they wrecked at the end of the day. But for a while they were racing there without even wrecking, and I thought that was great. Like, you know, because a lot of people were blaming the package, and I'm like, you know, package isn't perfect for restricted plate racing, but that's not why the race was boring. But that's what I thought was very interesting. That was literally just the skill and the talent of the drivers, those teams, and whatever they set their cars up, you know, however they did that, that's really what ruined it. It was literally a NASCAR blowout on a restrictor plate race. And you just don't see that very often.
Speaking of Kamikaze, said races that Truex doesn't win 0 out of 10, races that Truex wins 78 out of 10.
Yeah, according to NASCAR Reddit, I guess. Yeah, David, I don't know if you know this and stuff, but apparently you, Radman, and Kamikaze are the reason that NASCAR's falling off. I don't know.
Yeah,
wait, I had heard something like Kamikaze tweeted something cryptic, and I was like, "Is this still about his battle between Reddit that he had this week?" Which was fantastic entertainment, by the way. Oh my god, I was so entertained there for about an hour just reading those comments. But yeah, no. So what is this all about?
There was another one. I was scouring the NASCAR Reddit today, and I went on here and there's this like thing about this guy who's falling off from racing, and he's like, well, people like Real Radman, David Land, and Kamikaze are really hurting me watching anymore. And they're like, well, there's your problem right there, thinking NASCAR YouTubers know anything. And they went on this big rant about all they kept naming you guys, but they kept saying it's not just them either. They're just the popular ones that make it like you're Reddit.
Reddit is like Reddit's the reason why there's all this rule enforcement now, because they're like McGruff the crime dog, like sitting there with their spectacles, like, oh, I wonder if there's a tapered if the rear window's coming down on Kevin Harvick's car.
That's a great impression.
I was thinking, I'm like, wow, it's like someone from Reddit saying how bad we are. It's like when your site is best known by being called the Donald, it's like,
Well, here's the problem with Reddit is I think they're a bit jealous of the YouTubers because we actually have the balls to put our names to things, and the Reddit guys are pretty much all anonymous. I'm just saying, there's a little bit of yeah. I mean, their bad opinions have no consequences. When I say don't burn out on the bricks, everybody shits on me. So that's
I defended you. I was on your screen.
I agree with you there, man.
I had 4 people that were like, well, they've done it before, so why not? Yeah, but what's funny is this podcast, when we have UrinatingTree on, it makes it on his Reddit. And then when we have you on, it makes it on NASCAR
Reddit.
So it's like we have like the ultimate bipolar view from Reddit, because the UrinatingTree ones are like, wow, that was interesting, I guess. And then NASCAR Reddit, oh my God, they had him on.
Well, you know what? Hate watchers are still counted by YouTube as watchers. So, I mean,
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Who cares if they think you look like you're, ugly and you stink, they're watching, who cares,
It makes it fun, honestly. It gives us something to talk about.
Oh, yeah. Well, imagine how little content I would have if I didn't have people to fight with. I mean, I don't know if you guys have been paying attention to some of my like more kind of motorsport centric, just not quite NASCAR stuff, but I had freaking Philip Morris, which, if you don't know who Philip Morris is, the company, they're the ones who run Marlboro cigarettes.
Yeah.
And so I made this video where I was like, hey, you're subliminally advertising. And they freaking responded on the video. And I'm like, holy shit, I am triggering Fortune 500 companies into responding to my YouTube videos that get 10,000 views. I'm like, woo.
That's awesome.
And that's why you got to be careful on here, because people do watch. I mean, look at Ty Dillon and Kamikaze Games for another example. If you don't think the people you're talking shit about watch, you're wrong.
Yeah. Well, and even ones that don't, I forgot where he was, but he said this, but people were saying how Dale Jr. watches NASCAR stop motion races. So we know who he watches on here.
Yeah.
So it's like, these people are just like any of us. Like, they go on YouTube after, look up stuff they're into. So yeah, I have no doubt that drivers that I have ripped on have like seen stuff I put. Might be why.
That's why I just don't talk bad about anybody.
That's a safe plan.
The ultimate apologist. That's basically my MO.
And here I am live streaming at Chicagoland, wondering why every driver is going past me.
Now I get that impression sometimes. I do, especially from IndyCar drivers. Sometimes I'm like, do they know? Especially the younger ones. I kind of like, I don't know. Spencer Pigot gives me the dirty look every time I walk by him. Even this weekend, I'm like, I've talked shit about Spencer Pigot before. I said they shouldn't have fired him, or they shouldn't have fired J.R. Hildebrand. I'm like, I wonder if he watched, or somebody told him I said that, and he knows what I look like. I'm like, so every time I see him, I'm like, how you doing, Spencer? It's like, hey, hi there. It's like, oh.
We were, I don't know if he's still going to a race before the end of the season, but it was like a big thing of getting Kamikaze to go to a race so we can meet Ty Dillon. And Danny gave me the idea, if I met him at Chicagoland, to walk up and say, hi, Mr. Dillon, I'm Kamikaze Games. If he actually watched or just was looking at the tweets and comments.
Yeah.
Well, what I kind of wanted to do is send Kamikaze, since he was thinking about Chicagoland, I kind of wanted to send him out to Indianapolis, because he always hates Indianapolis. And so like that would be just the double whammy. Like, he'd be miserable and angry that he's at Indy, and then he'd get to meet Ty Dillon. I think that would be amazing.
Yeah, I wonder what would go down with that.
I think he had said in this video, and I find this so true, is like Ty Dillon kept saying at the start of the season how he was a YouTuber and stuff, and I'm a YouTuber and all this. And Kamikaze's like, oh, Suri, I think he said this. He's like, you're a YouTuber, right? Well, YouTubers actually respond to each other, not just tweet. It's like, yeah, there you go.
I mean, you kind of have to follow through when you start the drama. You can't just fire a shot and then be like, all right, it's over.
I pulled up Ty Dillon's YouTube because I was just curious. He only has 3.8 thousand subscribers, but he hasn't uploaded. His profile picture looks like an animated Tim Tebow. I don't know who that's supposed to be, but anyway, sorry, I didn't mean to derail. I just wanted to kind of give some extra context.
You know who else is a YouTuber now is freaking Nico Rosberg. 2016 F1 champion, and he's doing YouTube now. I'm like, buddy. I mean, like, and his videos are terrible, by the way. They're awful. Like, it's like the editing of a chimpanzee or something. It's all over the place. Like, it's like quick cuts, no fades or anything. It's like
he's got 300,000 subscribers though. So
well, yeah, because he's got the name associated with him. I mean,
my goodness.
Yeah,
But
because Suarez doesn't even have 600. The Pro Series Twitter account, or not Twitter account, YouTube channel actually has more subscribers than Daniel Suarez.
Eric Jones.
Eric Jones is on YouTube, but
he doesn't only upload a few things.
And also Natalie Decker is on there as well.
Noah Gregson is subscribed to me.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I gotta tweet at him sometime. Be like, hey Noah, wanna come on at some point.
That's another one NASCAR Reddit hates. They hate Noah Gregson.
Oh, Kamikaze hates him too. That's why I try to.
You know what? Hey, hold up. Let me say this. You know what? I tweet this out. I still don't get it, and I told him straight up on the podcast. You like Michael Annett, but you hate Noah Gregson. I don't get it. You're the most confusing man I've ever met. Like, how are you gonna like Michael Annett of all people, but you don't like Gregson? I don't know.
Gregson can at least win.
The inner explanations of his mind are an enigma.
So speaking of the Xfinity series, one guy, pretty much he's going to lose his job. Ryan Reed is out at
like he just introed that. Just like one guy, he's pretty much going to lose his job.
Well, he is. Well, he is. Okay, all right. I'll soften it up. So
we want you on the show.
So Ryan Reed,
I have to be nice to all these guys because you guys are tearing him down. Like, you know.
No, but he's gonna lose his job though. Like,
I mean, you're right. Yes.
What it reminded me of is when we went to so like I had this English teacher in 8th grade. I swear I sound like the Colin Cowherd of NASCAR the way I bring these stories up. I had this English teacher in 8th grade. Oh my gosh.
I threw my laptop.
Problems.
Yeah.
And he was awful. Just terrible teacher. Couldn't get anything done. I mean, I literally hid in his podium at one point. So he gets fired halfway through the year. We find out he's working at Sam's Club, and seeing how we're a bunch of like 13, 14-year-old jerks come to visit him on our graduation day from 8th grade. And literally like one of the people in our group is just like, they're like, how do you know him? It's like, oh, he got fired from our school. That's Darian.
I'm not that ain't me. That's messed up.
Holy crap.
You're the person who'd be like just straight up like, oh yeah, that happened.
No.
That's what it reminded me of. He's getting fired, whatever. Anyway.
It is what it is.
Okay, so all right, back to Ryan Reed. He's losing his job. Lilly Diabetes is pulling out of Roush Racing's Xfinity Series program, meaning that basically Ryan Reed's out of the ride. And I tweeted this out as soon as I found out from Bob Pockers, like Lilly Diabetes. At this point, they're probably going to be remembered more for Connor Daly than they are Ryan Reed at this point. I mean, Reed. I mean, it's not really going to make a big difference as far as the Xfinity Series goes. Reed, he's ran about where I've expected him to. Then again, he is driving for Roush though, so Roush is not really all that competitive as they once was. But it is the Xfinity Series too, so I mean they're doing a little bit better. But I don't know. What are your thoughts on that? Jarrett, you go first.
I'm sorry, I wasn't paying attention. I was looking at Can you repeat it? No.
Yeah, just read. Just like, what are your thoughts on Ryan Reed? That's all. Like,
I mean,
in the nose.
I don't know. I never really saw why he was there other than the sponsorship. I think that was the only thing that consistently stayed with him. I hope he does better in the future, but I don't know. Really, there's not much to say. He the only time you really ever saw him was at plate tracks. So
well, Daytona, I never really saw him like at Talladega anyways. I mean, Daytona, it's just like, what did he get? 2 wins in 3 years.
Yeah, he had 2 Daytona wins. I mean, that is remarkable, but it is Daytona.
But I mean, 2015, that was his only top 5 was Daytona. And this is why I don't like the playoffs again, because he didn't do anything the rest of the year. But yeah, so Ryan Reed is still the points leader. I'm like, what? like this just makes no sense.
Yeah,
like he has 1 top 5 all year, and he's still the points leader.
So basically, means he's out at Roush. Do they get another car? I mean,
that's the question I'm interested in, because I think Ryan Reed's out of NASCAR. He's not going to be in the Xfinity Series next year unless it's like a part-time team somewhere. But Roush, do they open up a second car, or I almost think they don't, because that 60's got to be costing them a fortune. I mean.
Bad season, 60 team. Just the whole team. Not a single driver, just the whole team.
You can say their own Twitter account tweets a joke out about how bad their season is.
Yeah.
Even if it was unintentional, it shows just how bad this year has been. Like that, it's like, and it's like, man, this race is really missing. And on cue, the 60 car crashed.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I mean, that team could shut down. I mean, we saw it with Bubba Wallace last season. Like, he doesn't have sponsorship, and then that team has to shut down. I don't know. Like, I don't really see the 16 getting anyone else unless, like, Roush steps up to sponsor it himself again. But I don't know. I don't really think anyone's in the pipeline, really. I mean, I could say Chase Briscoe, but from the looks of it, it looks like he's going to Stuart Haas in the Xfinity Series, maybe.
I feel like Chase Briscoe is so like he's probably the next batch of prospects, kind of, and so I feel like Penske and Stuart Haas probably are going to have priority. They're going to get him before Roush has a chance of getting him. At least that would be my guess. So I don't know who Roush. Who's they got? They got Ty Majeski. Oh God, Austin Cindric could go.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Cindric would be the full-time guy.
Oh,
that's what I would see it going.
I mean, yeah. It's all going to come down to sponsorship. Cindric's got backing from people, doesn't he?
Oh yeah, lots.
Yeah,
yeah. Because every time I hear about him, people are talking so much mess about him, and deservedly so. But yet I always see him in that 22 car or something. And
Cindric, he's not that bad though.
He's not
lining up on him. Like road courses, he's a beast on. He's a beast on road courses.
He's a competent enough Xfinity driver. I don't think he's ever an Xfinity Series champion, and he's probably never a Cup driver.
he doesn't belong in the 60 car like everyone thinks. Like I swear everyone's like, why is Cindric in the 60 car? It's a perfect fit. And it's like, no, he's not that bad of a driver. Like, I don't know. If someone in chat says Cindric will replace Menard by 2020. Paul steps down and wins a championship for Xfinity in the 22. Maybe.
I could see Paul. I could see
that.
Yeah, I could see Paul Menard winning an Xfinity Series title. I could see him. I wonder what his reaction would be. Just like, oh, I won the title. All right.
I don't know. He won a pole and he smiled, so that sort of shot my theory to.
Oh yeah, that's right. He did win Chicagoland. Well, the pole at least. He did do that. That's right.
So what else we got on tab?
So Junior came out with a new book. I know Jarrett can relate to it and stuff. So Jarrett, go ahead, take us away with that. Like, tell us about the book and stuff.
Yeah, so it's called Racing to the Finish, and it's by him, and then I think Brian McGee helped write it too. Basically, it's his notes from about 2014 or 20. I don't know the exact specifics, but I know he started taking notes in about 2014 about his concussions. So it chronicles that, what he had to go through, which is someone who's had concussions before. I can tell you that it's hard for people on the outside to actually understand what's going on. And that's why I'm so excited to read this book, because for someone who's had as many as he has, I won't spoil what I know so far, because again, I haven't read it yet, but I did see online, and this is something that I didn't know, is that race that he hit the grass at Texas and slammed in the wall, finished last, car caught fire, all that stuff. He actually got concussed at that race. And
wow. Just from hitting the grass?
Well, he slammed up into the wall.
Yeah, that's right.
So I'm really, obviously my favorite driver. I'm gonna buy it either way. I have all the other books he's written, but yeah, I'm really interested in seeing what times he was concussed, because I honestly think in 2016 he was concussed at Dover. By how he was acting, he looked like somebody who was concussed. But I'm really surprised about that one, because I didn't think he was. I thought he was a little off, but whatever. But it wasn't as bad as I thought it'd be. But like I said, I'm really interested. I think that any junior fan should probably pick it up just off the fact that it's him. And I think anyone who wants to understand more about what these athletes go through with head injuries, because I guarantee you every one of them probably has been concussed multiple times. I can't wait to read it. When I get it, either Friday or next week, whenever it comes in, because I ordered it, I'm going to read it and I'm going to do a review on my channel, because I think it's something that, with someone who's so in tune with the new research done for concussions, CTE, and whatnot, and seeing how huge of a problem that's become, across all sports. I think it's something that anyone who wants to broaden their perspective on it should probably pick up. But that's maybe I'm a little biased.
No, I mean, and first off, I didn't know you were even going to do a video on that. I think that's one that Junior might like tweet out or something. Like you might come across and it's like, oh, someone did a review on my book and stuff, and he might tweet that out or something. I could totally see that happening for you.
I would like to compare what I went through with mine and what he went through with his, because I know over time it becomes much easier to get concussed. I mean, you saw with that one at Michigan he had. You see with NFL players, with Wes Welker's ever expanding helmet because of every concussion he got. I really want to compare and see, because I don't really get that option too much, because you can't tell when somebody has been concussed in their life or whatever. It's not like, oh yeah, I walk with a limp because I broke my leg in 5th grade kind of thing. I want to see how similar it is with me in that regard, and how different it was, and how people outside it perceive it for him as well. Because I don't know, it's one of those things where I think people think because of how much press it's got and how mainstream it's like, concussions are bad, don't screw with that. I want to see like how much this can teach people, because it's something that we think we understand it, but we only have, pardon the pun, at the tip of the iceberg, that 1%. There is so much stuff that we can still learn about this stuff and how to prevent it. So yeah, I'm really excited for this book for more reasons than just it being my favorite driver. And I hope that, I hope it's good. I hope that people get it, and I hope it makes a good difference.
Yeah, I mean, Junior, he's kind of sort of brought that whole concussion talk to the forefront in NASCAR and stuff, because before, I never really heard about it and stuff. But I mean, looking back now at some drivers, I mean, I know the NFL and stuff, like, we all know about the whole CTE situations and all that stuff, all the head injuries and stuff. I'm sure there's a lot of guys who might be living with that, and they're former NASCAR drivers and stuff. Like, I remember a couple weeks ago, we were talking, we were watching Dave W's Atlanta stream, me and Jarrett, and I think it was Tony Stewart he had to go to the hospital and stuff, and he said his bell was rung and stuff, and Jarrett was like, and he was in the chat saying like, yeah, that probably lasted like for a month, like a good month or something like that.
Yeah, I was like, they said Stewart had a minor concussion this past week. I'm like, that lasted 2 or 3 months. Like, if they're going to report it in 1999, 2000, that he was concussed for the whole year. Like, that's the thing Dale Jr. said about his first concussion. He had that flip at Daytona. I think it was a day before his dad won the 500. The reason it wasn't there is because he got a concussion because his helmet.
Oh, he got a concussion from that flip? I didn't know that.
Yeah, because his helmet hit against the side of the door and actually he collapsed. Like, and they basically, like, this is how the concussions were viewed back then. He collapsed, and the Uris made a joke about it and laughed about it, like, right in front of him while the press was all right there. Like, that's just.
That wouldn't fly today. That wouldn't fly today, though.
No. I mean, it's amazing how much progress they've made with, the view of it, but at the same time with knowing about it. But it's also amazing how much of a difference there was. I remember playing Madden games and being like, oh, man, Randy Moss got injured with concussion. Now he's going to be out for 2 weeks. It's like, no. They don't fly no more. They don't put concussions in games anymore. But I think I've rambled on enough. What are your guys' thoughts, since I've sort of made a segment out of it?
I mean, I'm excited. I'll probably try to read the book. Actually, I thought about getting it. I've done some research the last couple of days to see what it was specifically about, and hearing that really is kind of his personal. It is very personal. It's not just it's different. It's not just him talking about my career in NASCAR. I can go to Wikipedia if I want to hear about his career in NASCAR.
No, you can't nowadays. No, you can't. No, you can't.
Funny, yeah.
No,
it's not a call to arms for the chat.
Yeah. But by the way, don't mess with Junior's Wikipedia page, chat. Please don't.
Yeah. Like, we'll actually get in trouble probably for that one.
Yeah.
Nah, but in all seriousness, I definitely am interested in reading about it and hearing some of the I don't know, it just feels like it'll be very personal. It'll be very detailed. And it'll probably like shed some light on a lot of things that, concussions and just injury related things in general that a lot of people probably weren't aware of. And that would be interesting to read about. So it sounds like it'll be a good book, or it is a good book. I guess it's out. So present tense.
Yeah, David. I mean, any thoughts on that or?
Yeah. I mean, I'd like to read it. Obviously, I really enjoy listening to Dale Earnhardt Jr. I don't know if you guys have seen the interview he did with Graham.
We did. We talked about that as soon as it came out. I love that guy. That guy's an awesome interviewer.
Great. Yeah. I subscribed to him a while ago. I don't remember when I saw it, but just one of those randomly popped up. I don't remember if it was like Mike Tyson or maybe Mario Andretti or one of the guys he's interviewed. But I mean, he's interviewed so many amazing sports and pop culture people. But it's not about him. It's about Dale Jr. And I love listening to Dale Jr. I know there's some people kind of mixed on his TV stuff. I love the way he describes things. I love his stories. And it's very clear that he has a great passion, not only for the sport, but if you listen to that interview, how much of a passion he has about CTE and concussions. So being able to hear his personal experiences with, his whole life. I mean, imagine the life that Dale Jr. has lived. I mean, literally princes and princesses are probably the only people you could, compare to the lifestyle he's been able to live. I mean, he literally was the prince of NASCAR, I guess you could say in some ways, because just the amount of notoriety, fame, all those things. So I think this would be a very interesting read, especially because, again, it's Dale Jr. really speaking from the heart. And I think that's the best Dale Jr. when he's speaking from the heart.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, man. Gotta agree with you there. Yeah, I don't know. Junior, he said some pretty interesting things in the interview and stuff. I didn't really agree with this whole the whole deal about, when he was asked about NASCAR's ratings, and he's like,
he was shilling so hard right there. It was so obvious. I mean, it was so obvious.
He was just like, yeah, it'll cycle through. I was like,
yeah. I even told Darian, I'm like, yeah, that's not Dale Jr. speaking. That's the NBC producer. And I got a call from a certain Danny B, so I'm gonna put him on speaker.
Oh, Danny B. Oh, it's calling in.
Hello.
Trouble.
Hey, not trying to interrupt or anything, but I'm just curious. Y'all think you're going to be going overtime, or if y'all be hanging out after it's over?
We'll probably hang out after it's over. You want to say hi? We're still live, so I don't know if you're watching.
Okay. Yeah, just tell them hi. I'm just now getting to leave Nashville. Supposed to be off at 6 o'clock, but this deal took a lot of time to get done tonight.
Damn, car owners.
It's okay. I'm so excited and happy to share everyone my fun times in Talladega, and then the entire night got took up.
Well, if we can't get you on tonight, for sure, we definitely can build up the hype over the week.
Yeah, next week's probably going to be even worse. So I'm actually scheduled late next week.
Man, we're going to have to build up this hype till the end of the season. The way it is, it's like, geez.
At least we know Danny didn't die in the Talladega infield.
Yeah.
I was about to say, me and Danny were only like 2 hours apart. We should have said hi.
Oh, 1 second. Here, I'm sorry. I'm going to see if I can get it. Can you hear them? Some speak.
I did
just whisper.
What am I doing? It's this wrong one.
Danny B. Danny B.
Whatever.
Danny be dead.
Yeah, because like you keep talking and then they'll talk, so it's like I didn't realize that until the last time we had someone talking on the phone that it's like,
oh, are you kidding me? They got the interstate blocked off. Now it's gonna be long.
I'm so sorry, man.
He's having a bad day.
Didn't we learn this from me that you're not supposed to call into the show on the interstate? It never works out very well.
We're
R.I.P. Danny B.
We'll put that as a hashtag. We'll see if we can get it trending tonight.
He sounds so dejected. I feel so bad.
Danny B. working late.
Oh, speaking of late, I was about to say, like, we're almost hitting the 2 hour mark and we haven't even made our picks yet. So I was about to say, so we're about to do that.
How about this? Because we're about to go into picks, and then from there, I don't know what we'll do. Really quick, do you want to give us just a quick rundown of who's going to suck, who's going to be a dark horse, and who's going to win?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and get mine out of the way. Who's going to suck is going to be Alex Bowman. He's been on a downhill climb. So
Yeah, he did it.
secure him getting knocked out this weekend. And then my underdog is going to be Eric Almirola. I think he ran pretty good here in the spring. He also ran really good at Chicagoland. so he could maybe even be a dark horse favorite to get 2 wins in a row here. But I don't think so because I think Kevin Harvick's going to dominate the whole weekend and win it.
Dang, strong predictions.
Eric says strong predictions.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you gentlemen have fun. And chat, if you can hear me, Danny B says hello.
Oh, they're going nuts. They're going nuts.
Yeah. We're going hashtag rip Danny B.
I missed him. I so wanted to be on tonight. I hate that I didn't get to talk to UrinatingTree.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Thanks.
He's like, oh, okay.
What?
David Larson, he's like,
I still don't think he knows we can hear him.
Yeah, I'll hear you. Just I had you on speaker.
Okay, so I'll be honest with David here. My week has been so busy with all the freaking cars. I literally haven't even been sure even if Tree was on until today. So I wasn't even aware that he was coming on.
It's all good. You're forgiven. I understand.
He says you're forgiven.
I mean, like literally when I was at work and I just peeked down, I was like, oh yeah, I forgot Tree's on. But I hate that I'm not there to talk.
Oh my God.
I knew David Lamb was coming on soon. I didn't realize it was tonight.
Yeah.
You just know Carnation will be clipping this. Carnation.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure he will. And Carnation, we love you, little buddy. You do all the good things for the podcast.
Little buddy. To you.
Oh man, literally the whole comment section for the most part. If it's not F, it for you, it's like Danny B, this, Danny B, that. Danny B gone.
Danny B just applying a verb to it, you know.
Danny, Danny B hates his job.
Well, okay, I don't hate the job. It's great money, but I just hate the hours.
Yeah.
And there's, let's see, like Danny B on the phone, Danny B get off the phone.
Yeah, here come the F's.
Oak
Danny,
32.
go home.
that just Oak 32 Assassin 2 is and everyone now is spamming F. So just know that you are missed. And Kay Eddington says Danny B sexy voice ass.
What?
You can just imagine that Danny B is enjoying some mayo on his way home.
We're gonna have to explain that one to David.
Yeah, I was supposed to say Mayo. Oh, all right.
You can explain it to David.
All right.
All right, bye.
See you, man.
All right, so David, so basically, like Danny made like $30 off the super chats one night during the podcast just to either eat mayo or put mayo on his face.
Oh my God.
That's easy money.
All right. Yeah, it is easy money.
That's easy money.
You have to ask what the real cost is, not just the super chat.
If you see him at a street corner when we're all at Bristol, we know what's going on.
All right, guys. So now,
Whoa, super chat.
I got a super chat. It's my second super chat from the man himself, Jared Edwards, with a $1.99 super chat. Tell Danny eat some mayo.
I think Danny's already got you beat there.
Yeah, he's gone. He's gone, man. But anyways, thanks for the super chat, bro. I appreciate it. That's the most I've had in one stream. 2 super chats. Wow.
There you go.
That's what I'm talking
Hey,
about.
can we make it 3 for Dale? Darian's got to eat.
Hey, go ahead. Like all you have to do, just donate me 3 cents. That would be perfect. I don't know if you
can you even do that?
I don't
That'd
think
be
so.
awesome.
Anyway,
I'd super chat all the time if I knew that. 3 cents.
all right. So, anyways, now we have finally arrived to our Kansas picks. Yes, this week, Kansas Speedway. I don't know. I'm not really expecting much, anyways. So don't really. I mean, I don't know. I'm expecting one guy just to dominate. I'm not going to say who it is, but it's pretty inevitable who it's going to be. But yeah. So let's start making our picks. Who's going to suck? Jarrett, go first.
Jimmy Johnson. Do I need to say anything more after this season?
No. Do I need to say anything else?
Also, I sent Danny the text that Jared had paid that super chat to tell him to do that. He sent back, have Darren eat it for me. So
yeah, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that.
If there was no context to this, Carnation, do an ominous video with no context to those 2 sentences.
Didn't you just say it was easy money though?
Yeah, hang on a
There you
second.
go.
I'm not eating mayo by itself. No, I'm good. There's another super chat.
Good for Dale.
That's the most I've gotten. So that's what I'm talking about. $2 super chat from Mr. Mr.
It's real good. You're doing it for Dale.
Now it's Harvick. We've got 4 now. It's Harvick.
Oh my gosh. Okay. All right. So really quick. All right. So Eric, who's gonna suck? I'll read these super chats in a little bit.
Oh gosh, I just had it and I lost it. Larson's gonna suck. I think everyone expects Kansas to be his one of his best tracks. Probably is, but he's not done anything in these playoffs. He was one of the best cars at the Roval, but every other race this playoffs.
Hey, he finished second at Vegas.
Oh, he did run well at Vegas. I forgot about Vegas. All right, you're right. Besides Vegas, but no, I think Larson will run 8th to 10th, and he'll miss out. He'll be eliminated.
David?
I also agree. I think Larson's going to suck this week. When you put the pressure on, especially in the playoffs, as we've seen, there aren't a whole lot of drivers that rise to that challenge. And unfortunately, I think Larson is a driver who drives with his head a lot more, or drives with his heart more than his head. And I think we're going to see him try too hard, maybe run that Larson line, get up into the wall, something like that. I think it would be too easy to say somebody like Alex Bowman to say he would suck. You never know. Something could go right for him. But I think that my other pick was stolen as well, which was I think Harvick's gonna dominate, absolutely dominate, unless he has another uncontrolled tire. That's a possibility, and then we could see somebody
save that pick. Hold on, save that pick for later. That's the winner.
Oh shoot! Yeah, I thought I already heard one. Never mind.
No,
it was Danny. Never mind.
It's just the who's gonna suck.
Forget that I said that.
Forget what?
Kevin, who?
Durant.
All right, so now to our underdog. Oh wait, hold on. I didn't say he was gonna suck. I don't want to say Larson because he's my championship pick and he's still technically in it, so I gotta stay loyal. I don't know. I think an obvious one is probably going to be Stenhouse. I mean, how many wrecks has that guy been in all year? Like, he wins 2 playoff races, or no, not playoffs. He wins 2 plate races, and now he's like apparently god at the super speedways. And then this year just wrecks out the whole field. That's going to be a really good bad seasons video in the off season. I can tell you right now, that could probably get a lot of views. It might be one of the most viewed videos on my channel. That, Jimmy Johnson 2018, also Roush Racing 2018 as well. There's so many I can make.
2018.
Just make sure not to get copyright striked by freaking NBC. They're being awfully they're cracking down. I had to edit my Roval review like 5 or 6 times because it was just like, you can't show that clip. You can't show that clip. I'm like, God almighty. Fair use.
I had the problem with Fox Sports. I was doing a video on Dale Jr.'s 2004, and I wanted to show that spin from Bristol. I literally even used like the one that looked like it was filmed on a potato, and every time they don't let me use it. No audio either. There was no audio to it, so they're getting bad.
All right, so now moving on, underdog picks. Jarrett, go first. Who's your underdog?
It's funny in context what Danny said. I'm going to go with Alex Bowman as my underdog for probably top 10, maybe top 5 if it becomes fuel mileage. I say this more because of what I've witnessed him do at Chicagoland, which is a sister track of Kansas. Granted, they're different, weather, time, whatever. But the last 2 times that I really remember watching Alex Bowman at Chicagoland, he finished top 10 both of those races. The 88 team has been faster over the last few weeks. While not stellar by any means, it's still the 2016 through today 88 team. It's it's not 2014, 2015 88. But I think that Bowman, he's not going to make the next round. He's not going to win, but he'll definitely probably run top teens, low top 10. And if it becomes fuel mileage or, some luck or whatever, I mean, he could be top 5. So I'm not going to count him out of it just yet. But, I don't have the faith to say he wins.
I'm really not sure on my underdog. I'm really going back and forth. I want you guys' opinions. Does Denny Hamlin count as an underdog?
After this year, probably.
He hasn't won a race. He's out of the playoffs. I think Hamlin is a top 5 contender. He ran really well at Dover. Didn't he finish like second at Dover a couple weeks ago?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how he did this last week. It's Talladega, doesn't matter. But yeah, I think Hamlin. I'll say Hamlin has a shot at top 5. I think since he got eliminated, he seems to be better, but we'll see.
All right, David.
I'm going to go way out on a limb and say Jamie McMurray.
I almost
yeah, I kind of feel like Ganassi's it's the funny thing because I'm picking Larson to struggle. I think Ganassi's going to get the setup right, but Larson will screw up, and McMurray will have a really good car and have a really good finish. I don't know. It just feels like, especially because it's getting towards the end of his time in the Cup Series, it seems like he's going to be motivated to do well, especially when he's got a good ride underneath him. And yeah, I can see it. I think he was pretty strong at Las Vegas before he crashed. So, similar tracks recently, I could see that coming. Jamie McFlurry, everything coming up McFlurry. And also, I think they're running special paint schemes this weekend. Larson's in a purple car too, which makes me really sad that I had to pick him as the guy who's going to completely fail.
Man, I'm not going to go all crazy here this time with like my picks and stuff. Larson, look, he's not going to win the race. I've already accepted that.
He could win. Don't go too far on it.
Oh, come on now. Come on, man. It's just I'll have him as an underdog though. Just because of the way he's ran all year. Like I know some people in the chat, well, Larson, he's not no underdog. What are you talking about, dude? It's just the way. I mean, since Vegas, it's just been just straight downhill. So I expect him to run probably maybe top 10, top 10 for sure, maybe top 5. And yeah, someone in the chat says I sound depressed. Yeah, he was my championship pick, and he was so good heading into the playoffs, and then now it's just,
my championship pick back in February was Jimmy Johnson. So,
oops.
Yeah,
that's right.
Get some F's for that in the chat.
Well, thankfully I didn't do that. I didn't pick him.
I mean, that wasn't February, so I'll cut myself a little bit of slack. But
you were looking good until the last corner at Charlotte.
I was looking tolerable. I mean, he wasn't going to win a championship, but
you never know. I mean, the fact that he turned it on right there. I mean, he was starting to look like the old Jimmy Johnson at the Roval, and I'm like, uh-oh. Especially when he's catching Truex, I'm like, well, here comes old 8 time.
I actually thought the same thing. I'm like, oh man, here he comes. It's like all year I've been saying how I want him to do better. Now he's doing better at the wrong time.
Well, it was the kamikaze theory. I don't know if he's still in the chat, but he's always like, never doubt Jimmy Johnson. He always shows up at the end of the year. You always doubt him, and he always shows up.
I like the impersonation. You should check out. You should check out his Brian France impersonation. It's perfect.
Yeah.
Who's Brian France?
He does a great Brian France.
Oh, I'd love to hear that.
We should all do impressions of each other one day. Be a BS stream.
Maybe we can save it for the end of the year. Last stream of the year it'll be November 28th. We just do that.
I'll start working on mine.
Well, there's kamikaze games right now. He's saying doubting Jimmy Johnson is not a good idea. Well, it's been a pretty good idea this year. I can tell you that much. All right, so now to our final picks. The winners. Jarrett, start us off.
So this was a meme at the start of the season of that I would do, and I think it drove Danny nuts for a little bit because I always managed to get it right. I'd say when in doubt, pick Harvick. I just pick Harvick. It's like, do you have any reason? He's good this year. That's what I'm doing. I'm picking Harvick. He's good this year. And it just sort of seems like kind of a Kevin Harvick race. So I hope not, because, again, I was thinking going into Chicagoland, I'm like, oh, Chicagoland sucks, whatever. And then we had an awesome race and an awesome finish. So I'm hoping that happens. But, yeah, and I see the chat probably agrees with me. I know that's probably not going out on a limb. I was very, very, very tempted just because of how you guys were talking about him to be like, you know what? I was going to pick Harvick, but I want to pick Larson instead kind of thing. But it's like, I can't do it.
I can't either. Just listen to me. I'm still upset about it.
I think he'll be better than you guys are giving him credit for, but I don't think he'll win, unfortunately.
Is anyone not picking Harvick?
I am not.
My question.
I am. Well, I'm just gonna get out of the way then. Yeah, Harvick.
Okay.
It's a Harvick race. It's over. And I think David, you just basically You made
I spoiled it. So,
Yeah.
Eric, I want to hear your pick and your reasoning because this is the only time we're going to get a discussion out of this, I think.
Yeah, this is going to be a quick segment. Yeah, Harvick makes a lot of sense, but, I mean, Kevin Harvick, when was the last race? When was his last win? Was it all the way back in New Hampshire? Like 3 months ago almost?
Yeah.
Kevin Harvick has not been Kevin Harvick, or at least not the Kevin Harvick we've grown to know and hate the last few months. He has not been that in a while. So I'm going to pump the brakes on Harvick. He'll be top 5. He'll probably lead laps. He might win. My pick, and it's because he's known for being historically clutch in this round of the playoffs when he needs to be, is Brad Keselowski. He hasn't won at Kansas since, I did my research, since 2011. I think it's his only career win at Kansas. He's not like exceptional at this track or anything. He's fine. He's got okay numbers here. He finished like 13th here earlier in the year, so that's not stupendous. But he did win at Las Vegas the last time we were at a cookie cutter mile and a half, and he has been good. The only reason he's in a hole right now is because he was caught up in that wreck with Almirola at Dover. That wasn't Keselowski's fault. He was going to get a top 5 finish in that race. And then he had a good car, obviously, at Talladega until that loose wheel in stage 1 put him way behind the 8 ball. So I think Brad Keselowski's still the hottest team in the sport. Well, I shouldn't say the hottest team, but I think they're still they're giving him top 2, top 3 equipment on a week-to-week basis. He's 18 points out coming into this race. He's basically in a must-win, close to a must-win scenario. I think he gets it done.
So
my pick.
I can't believe you forgot about Harvick's last win.
When was Harvick's last win?
Michigan, because he had Keelan.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's right.
Oh, God.
Race.
Was that more recent than New Hampshire? For some reason, I thought that was
New
Right before Bristol.
Oh, okay. Well, still, it's been 7, 8 races.
I didn't want to be that guy to be like, actually.
No, it's fair.
You didn't want to be me. You didn't want to be me. I do that all the time. It's a bad habit, but yeah, I'm always.
I think my point still stands. It's been 2 months. So
yeah.
I'll keep it there.
Oddly, of the big 3 drivers, the one who's been the longest losing streak so far has been Truex. His last win was in July at Kentucky.
Really?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
that surprises me.
Because since then, Harvick has won twice. Kyle Busch has won twice. Chase Elliott's won twice. Kurt Busch once. Brad Keselowski 3 in a row, and Ryan Blaney and Eric Almirola.
But the big 3's not dead yet, guys, according to the comment section 2 or 3 weeks ago.
They're still in it. They're still in it, man.
Yeah,
I mean, they're still in it, but they're not the big 3. The big 3 doesn't exist anymore. I've officially won that argument.
They're gonna Oh my gosh, here we go again. They're gonna finish 1, 2, 3. They're gonna finish 1, 2, 3 again. I don't know why.
I'm sorry, guys. I didn't mean to say anything. I hate it.
Here's what's going to happen is we're going to get the Homestead, and Chase Elliott's going to make it to the Final Four with the big 3. Everyone's going to be happy. Everyone's going to say, this is his year. The big 3 are dead. Lap 1, Chase Elliott blows his engine and is out.
But they're going to do like what they did to Johnson, just forget to set the car up or whatever it is before the race even starts. What was that thing that happened to Johnson a couple weeks ago?
Oh, yeah.
I forget what it was. I forget what actually was wrong. Something in the suspension broke, right?
Yeah, it was Dover. That was bad.
Yeah.
So I guess go ahead.
I remember being in my car, not illegally streaming the race, coming home from my marathon and being like, why is Jimmy Johnson out? It's lap 1. And then they pulled one, and I'm like, are you kidding me?
Man,
that's funny.
Yeah. That's one of those things where I'm like, am I hallucinating because I'm so tired? No, it actually happened.
So now that we've hit, we're now over the 2-hour mark. I just saw the time there. I guess some final things to talk about really quick. Fox Sports, they have new NASCAR graphics. So now I see where what'd you say, David? The budget went from the.
That's where the IMSA budget went because Petit Le Mans was the last. It was kind of the last Speed Vision property that they had left on the channel. So once that was gotten rid of, it seems like, wow, we've got all this money. We don't have to pay all our employees anymore. Let's invest in a digital thing where we misspelled everything.
Yeah, God.
Almond dinner or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Oh, 2 L's. 2 L's. And he drives a 37 apparently. So, I guess
that's a hot take from Fox Sports. No one saw that coming. He's not driving the 47 anymore because he's going to the 37. Oh, okay. Wow. All right.
I thought the set looked like cheesy, like 2006 graphics. I'll be honest, I didn't like it. I didn't like it. I was like, I don't know, why did they need to do this? This is a waste of money. It's not going to enhance the. I'm not going to watch Race Hub now. It's not going to change that.
Well, no one's watching Race Hub. If you watch Race Hub, something's wrong with you.
The last time I watched Race Hub, and this will date how long ago it's been, was right after Steve Burns died. That's the last time I watched Race Hub, because with Steve Burns, it was actually good, and with Jimmy Spencer actually giving an opinion. Video.
See, that cat's better than Race Hub. Right,
what the video reminded me of when it had the two people there? Reminded me of Who Framed Roger Rabbit. It's all cartoons and two people.
What killed me is when they cut to like the couches and stuff that were clearly CG. I was like, why make those CG?
Wait, those were CG?
Yeah, they look like it. Yeah.
No.
You gotta save that couch money.
Here's what actually happened is Fox Sports decided, you know what? People are feeling nostalgic for the mid-2000s. What should we do to bring back that feeling? I got it. Let's film on the set of the prequels.
Oh, yeah. Oh, man.
Perfect.
Let's not turn this into a Star Wars discussion. Yeah. We'll be here for another 2 hours because I'll just start talking randomly and getting mad. Why'd you have Luke Skywalker drink green milk? Oh, my God. All right. Sorry.
But I like the opening. I did like
I was gonna say I like the opening a lot, and I like those graphics with like the big like red, yellow, and blue streaks and like the car. Like that was great. It was when they actually got to the set where I'm like, this just looks it looks fake. I know it's not trying to look super real, but it just was like unnecessary. I didn't think it improved it.
Here's my question. If they're gonna go with all this digital stuff, why not go back to what they did in 2001 to like 2005 and have the digital starting grid? That was so cool and way ahead of its time. You know, if you're going to invest in the property, why not invest in the actual race broadcast and not freaking Race Hub? You know, that's the thing that I don't get.
That nobody watches
because they do Race Hub. Do they do Race Hub in North Carolina? They do it there, right?
Yes, yeah.
They don't travel or anything anymore. Those days are long gone.
Yeah, do what if you're in North Carolina anyway. I assume you're in Charlotte. Why not do what NBC had been doing and has done and just do it at the Hall of Fame? You need people to go there. You need to keep, people keep trying to validate it being there, which I don't get because it's a pretty awesome experience to be at. But I don't get why they don't just do it there. It would have much more of that. You get that nostalgic feeling because I think that's what they were going for. Like that's what the opening reminded me of the old opening, like in the first contract that they had. Mm-hmm. That's what it reminded me of, especially everything.
Here's a question I have is that I'm actually kind of surprised in the current era of things that there are two competing NASCAR shows on two different channels. I can only imagine that has something to do with the TV contracts that NASCAR maybe mandates that they have a 30-minute weekly show or something like that. I don't know. It's just weird to me that both NBC and NASCAR do it, and it's not like in their season. They do it all season. At least Fox does. I don't remember if NBC does NASCAR America all season, but it's kind of weird to have two shows that are very similar in their presentation going on at virtually the same time. It's kind of weird to me.
Yeah, and I remember when NASCAR America came out, because I think that was around the same time that Race Hub was still.
It was 2014 because they had just gotten the NASCAR contract and they weren't even broadcasting a race for like a year and a half too. So that's when they started and brought that. That's when NASCAR America started, I believe.
And they had it literally the same time slot for both of them for an hour. It's like you really like that just seems so counterproductive, you know?
Well, now they don't. Well, now the show's an hour before Race Hub is now apparently.
But let's be honest. Do like any of the fans that watch NASCAR anymore actually like watch TV outside of the races? I mean, I just got done saying how I do not illegally stream, but I stream the race. Like someone asked the other day, it was like, are you illegally doing that? For legal reasons, no. For anecdotal reasons, yes. But Craig Ferguson, look him up. It's funny. But I don't know. It just you're going after young fans. Young fans don't watch TV anymore. I watch The Walking Dead, and that's just I'm waiting till Rick dies. That's it. That's what I'm doing. That's it. I don't watch TV other than that. I watch football on the internet. I watch NASCAR on the internet, and then I just watch YouTube videos. That's it. So I don't know. I think NASCAR, I think it's a bad investment. I think they should be doing more stuff to promote them on Fox Sports on YouTube for NASCAR and other stuff online. But their prerogative. They want to be stuck in the past. That's their deal. There's still people like us that'll watch. But got a text from Danny, and he's going to set up the camera. He'll be on really quick.
All right. So, wait, is he on he's about to be on here right now? Because I was about to wrap this up.
He just got home.
Yeah, that sounds like a stall for 10 minutes, and he could say bye. Text.
All right. Well, yeah. So that's we pretty much covered everything tonight and stuff. And wow, we've been streaming for over 2 hours, and we've been over 200 views or around there and stuff. I remember the highest was 250 watching at one time on this channel. So really appreciate that, guys. And if you haven't done so, lick the like button. So yeah, this was the NASCAR Weekly Podcast. We're about to wrap it up. So I'm let you guys do your outros. Jarrett, you go first.
Alrighty. I'm the Iceberg. You all know that at this point. We're what? Let me see. 36 streams into this thing. I'm pretty sure you all know that.
It's always someone's first, though. You never know.
Yeah. Good point. So yeah, for all of you who don't know, I'm the Iceberg.
Thank you for clearing that up.
He forgot my name. That's why.
You don't look like an iceberg. Sorry, I'm hijacking your outro.
I'm the whitest one here.
I'm not so sure about that one.
Yeah, that's debatable.
This is me tan. Anyway, yeah, I'm the Iceberg. I won't spam you like TikTok ads. I had a video last night before YouTube went under. Yeah, I had to add some joking about it. Guys, why don't people take us seriously? Anyway, I released Devil's Advocate yesterday, so go check that out if you haven't. If you were gonna and you couldn't because YouTube decided to die. And then I got a new Missing Ring coming out tomorrow. I'm not going to be as secretive about who it is this time, but so it's going to be on Denny Hamlin's 2010 season. So that should be a fun one. But yeah, it should be pretty good. Do you want me to wait until the very end to announce who we're going to have on next week, or do you want me to just do it right now?
No, just go ahead.
All right. So next week, October 24th, it'll be on my channel. We're having Evan Pisacco on from iRacing, and then 10 to go. He's resurrected from the dead, and he'll be on with us. So stay tuned.
Yeah.
And until next time, have a good one.
Yeah, I'm Eric. Thanks for watching again. This has been a fun stream. Had two great guests on. Thank you to UrinatingTree, and of course, thank you to you, David Land, for appearing on our show once again. Had a good time. Yeah, I'm Eric Estep. You can find me on YouTube. I make videos about NASCAR where I talk about NASCAR, and that's about it. I had one come out earlier this afternoon, and I've been kind of swamped this week with schoolwork and stuff, so don't expect any others until Sunday after the race, but I'll try to get back into, for lack of a better phrase, I'll try to get back in the groove as early as next week.
Wow. You're ugly. You're so ugly for that.
Already.
Wrap it up. You're so ugly for that.
We just lost 100 viewers. Actually, we did just lose 10 the moment I said that.
Yeah, I know. Oh, and it's going down. It's going down to 200 now.
I'm so sorry, but
now we are below 200. Thanks a lot, man. Yeah, you ruined everything now. Go ahead, wrap it up.
I'm so sorry.
Save the stream, Daddy.
I have mayo on my face. That's how I feel right now.
Oh, there you go.
I got the blue birds out. That's nice. Anyway, yeah, I'm Eric. This is the type of quality content you can find on my channel, so please go check that out. But yeah, I'll give it to our special guest. Let David do his outro.
All right. So I'm gonna piss my cat off real quick. Hi, buddy. This is Dakota. He does not want to be held right now. He wants to go under the bed. Anyway, what was I talking about? Oh yeah, the outro. Thank you guys so much for having me on the NASCAR Weekly Podcast. I actually really do enjoy doing this. It's always kind of fun. You guys are obviously very knowledgeable racing fans. It's always nice to talk to you guys. It's always fun. I mean, we talked about Rich Bickle today. So the way I feel like, we definitely had a W here. I have to say, this is a really good thing for the NASCAR community. I'd like Reddit to take a look at something like this and say, hey, we're not always trying to tear everything down, because things like this, again, we were just talking about, again, I feel like I said this last time, but like, who watches Race Hub? But I bet most of the people in the chat watch the NASCAR Weekly podcast, or at least know what's going on this show. So that's really super cool. And yeah, I love being a part of it. You guys can check me out, David Land, DAVIDLAND, 9 letters. You can search that in your search bar here and find some great motorsport content, unless YouTube dies again, in which case you can find me on Facebook and on Twitter and on Discord and on Instagram, and I'm sure somewhere else down the line. So again, thank you guys for having me on, and I think we have another special guest.
Yes, Danny B. He's in the house tonight.
And I'm Danny B. You've done heard of me. It sounds like we're closing, so bye-bye.
Nice. I like that rhyme. You need to say that needs to be your opening or your outro for now on. I'm Danny B. You probably heard of me.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
There you go. You just coined Carnation clip it. So we always
clip it.
That's like that's what we need to do. We need to, when we're at Bristol, we need to sell shirts saying Carnation clip it.
Yes.
I'm still trying to sell them. I'm still trying to get those John Deere E shirts taken care of. So we'll see what happens with that. All right, so, but
I'm definitely the only one who wears a tie for this show. I'm the most professional.
You think this is Race Hub or something? What do you? We just said that we're not Race Hub. What are you doing, Danny?
Yeah, no.
It's okay. You didn't hear that part. You're forgiven.
Welcome to Danny B. Welcome to Race Hub.
You look like one of those what do they call them, Mormons, who's like riding on the bike.
Oh yeah,
like that, like something. Is this or something?
Okay,
like that?
chat. I have a very important question to ask you. Have you heard of our Lord?
Yeah. No, this chat. No, you should have seen this chat when we was talking about Race Hub. I'm not gonna say what they was talking about, but they don't got no. They probably don't even know what the Bible is.
There's no Jesus in the chat.
Gosh.
No,
So go ahead.
Sorry, that's good. I'll say
All right. So perfect time to wrap up now. Anyways, this was another NASCAR Weekly podcast. Thank you guys so much for watching. This is Black Flags Matter. Catch you next time.